Following podcast contains spoilers, adult language, and lots and lots of uncontrollable crying.
Oh, well, you hold it together. Everybody's listening.
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. The dead are coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, an all Walking Dead universe podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, and welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
And this is podcast episode number 274. And this is it, people. It's the end of an era. This week we're discussing the final episode of the final season of The Walking Dead. Title of the episode is Rest in Peace. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
I know. Amen. So obviously, we've warned people in advance of us doing this recording that will probably be a longer episode. There's a lot to unpack. The episode itself was longer. So that in and of itself would mean we'd have more to discuss. We're normally a little long in the tooth anyway, so I'm sure you guys are used to it. But yeah, and there's
come on.
Shut up.
I think you'll just say if you liked it, I'll say if I liked it, and then we'll sign off. It'll be like that. Yeah,
we'll just do that. We'll read all the feedback and we'll be done. So it'll be like 20 minutes. You guys are fine with that, right?
We'll just say, and then this person sent in feedback, we enjoyed it. And then this person sent in, and trust me, this is going to be like 9 minutes tops.
It was pleasant. As we say when we go to cons, it was delightful.
It was delightful.
All right, so we have a shit ton to talk about. So let's get rolling. It's my turn to go first. Give our quick thoughts on the episode.
Ladies first. You know, you did the original quick thought way back many moons ago with Jules, and now here is your chance to have the last quick thought.
Final quick thought. Okay. I think that this was a perfectly fine series finale. I think that there were things I wanted to go differently. I think there were some things that I think were kind of and a little hackneyed here and there, and you know, a little bit like stumbly. Like they didn't quite stick the landing on a couple of things, but they did have a handful of things that were very good, very emotional, very impactful. There were a handful of fan servicey things that I think stuck the landing a little better than some others. So I would overall say that I really liked this episode. I would not probably put it in the pantheon of like my top 5 greatest series finales of all time. But I definitely think that it's up there for like a really good way to sort of sign off. And you and I both agree that the show with the Angela Kang renaissance was having such a great upswing in storytelling, etc., that they did manage to go out on a mostly high note, I would say. So I would say overall, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it a lot. So how about you?
Well, I should preface all of my following comments by just saying that I knew when, like in season 3, that they were never going to end the show the way I would end the show. Okay, they were never going to do what I would want them to do. And Angela Kang, sweetie, I love you, but you lost it. You started to like these characters too much. You did. I think it's safe to say that you need a little more Bob Kirkman in you. And, you know, you have to look at, how many episodes have we gone and we haven't killed somebody? All right, somebody's going to die. I mean, but I think having said that, let me just say I agree with a lot of what you just said, in that I have seen a lot worse series finales than this one.
Oh hell yeah!
And this one did a pretty good job, juggling the 82,000 people in the cast and trying to give them all their little moment, which was great.
Right.
But I think it was way too uplifting and happy.
Yes.
For my tastes. I think, the universe that they are living in, there are no happy endings ever, even if your name is Rick Grimes or Michonne.
Right.
Because let's be honest, everybody's gonna die sooner or later, right?
Right.
So
right.
yeah. But I agree. I think a couple of things in there I really, really liked. There were obviously lots of nice little flourishes, and I think there was a couple of really amazing scenes, and I think everybody seemingly kind of had their little moment, which was nice. But yeah, I think it was okay. But I knew that going into it. I knew that, like I said, and then as this season went along, particularly these last 8 episodes, and they weren't killing anybody. Yeah. I was just like, oh, Angela, you like these people too much. That's what it is.
We talked about it last week or the week before. We're like, we need to come to grips with the idea that maybe nobody's gonna die.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So again, I think we're in agreement in that it was okay. It was good. It had some good stuff. I mean, there's definitely some stuff where I was like, are you kidding me? But, again, got to wrap up the show. I get it.
Yeah.
But, again, I've seen much worse, and I've seen some that I thought were better, and this one was okay. So, that's what we got.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
Okay. So we're not sure what we're going to cover next, folks, but there'll be something in your feed soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.
No.
If only.
As if. No. Strap in, people. We're getting ready. So first off, let's talk. Should we do episode description first, since that's what's coming up next?
I think we should, just to kind of stick with the format. Why not?
Episode description. And that's your shebang. So why don't you go ahead and take care of that, and we'll get back into it.
All right. Well, this week's episode is being brought to you by. Have you lost a lot of blood? Are the doctors, nurses, and medicine just gone? Do you need a transfusion to survive? Then give Big Ass Kicker's blood donation service a try. Don't worry about type. His blood goes with anybody, and it's guaranteed to put the hill back into your billy. Big Ass Kicker's blood donation service, located at the abandoned hospital. Are your parties a dud? Does it seem that your gatherings are just lacking that spark? Are you looking for something to ignite your next big party? Then book the Princess DJ service today. Guaranteed to make your next party a blast. All right, so there you go.
Yeah, supersized episode, gotta have double the ad space. I mean,
hey, we had 2 people that just desperately needed to get their ads onto our podcast. So and people, if you have an ad that you want to have aired, please give Diana a call and she will let you know what our rates are.
Yeah, this podcast isn't going to pay for itself.
That's right.
For the person who pays for
the podcast.
Pays for the podcast. Yeah. So all right. So
talent like me is not free. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of cheap. But
I am. I'm almost free. I'm like mostly free.
Mostly free.
But yeah.
All right. So let's hit it into it. Yeah.
All right, so again, the episode is, and this is if you have been living in a cave, it is 11/24, Rest in Peace, the season and series finale. And our description, and again, God bless AMC, they just really didn't want to put too much time into this. They said, our survivors must save their kids and the Commonwealth. And there you go.
That covers it. I mean,
pretty
that
much.
Is definitely that is the what's the thing? The crib notes or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. That's the quick way to describe it.
Yes.
Cliff notes, thank you.
Yes, clearly they're like, brevity is what we want here. And so maybe they were being charged per word. I don't know. But yeah, they really, there's not a lot to this. And you almost wonder if that was just, what you know, how you've been talking about, no spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers.
Yeah.
And so they just gave us even less than what they normally give us, because they didn't even mention an actual character in this. Usually you kind of get like, Eugene and Gabriel go to town, and even though it's like, well, yeah, they did that, but then like 9 other things happen, and so
yeah,
they didn't even get that.
This was vague to the point of frustration.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it might have been purposeful in that there's like, we are not getting nothing from here.
Yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. But we got plenty of things to talk about for sure. So let's get started first with writers and the director of the episode. Not names that we have never heard before, that is for sure.
No. No, and if you notice when they list the writers, I thought this was kind of interesting, because they on the show they credit 3 people, but if you go and look up on the internet, they only credit Angela Kang, which I thought was interesting. And what it says on the show is, it says the teleplay is by 2 people, Corey Reed and Jim Barnes. And if those names sound familiar, they should, because they have written a ton of stuff, and we've talked about them many, many, many times. And then it says story by Angela Kang, but yet somehow, when the internet was put up, the information was put in, they just kind of said, no, Angela Kang wrote it. So, and what I'm guessing that means is that Angela Kang wrote the actual story, and then those 2 guys took that story and then crafted it into the actual script. And I'm sure Angela Kang was overseeing and helping as well, but that's probably what happened here. But anyway, yeah. Corey Reed is a veteran writer of Walking Dead. He's written 21 total episodes of the show.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, he is quite a bit. He started, I think, back in season 6 or maybe season 5. And yeah, 21 episodes. So a ton, way too many to go into. You can look him up if you really want to see which ones. But yeah, the dude's written a bunch. Some memorable ones, some good ones, ones that were like, ooh, that was awesome. So yeah, he was certainly someone who has a lot of experience writing the show. And then Jim Barnes is more of an Angela Kang guy. He came in pretty recently, but he has 9 episodes to his credit.
Oh, nice.
So the 2 of them, 30 episodes of the show. Out of what is this, like episode like 188 overall or something like that of the show. Yeah. So basically 1/5 of the episodes, if that's true, or about that, they wrote, which is pretty good.
That is good.
And then of course, the one and only Angela Kang, and we all know all about her. She's been the showrunner for the last 3 years. She's written a ton. She's awesome. We love her. Although, again, she did kind of learn to love her characters a little too much for my taste. But
she got a little attached in the end there.
She did. She did. And then, of course, the director, the one, the only, Greg Nicotero.
The Nicotero,
yes. And we all know him, and we all know his place with The Walking Dead. Certainly with the directorial stuff, if it's a big episode, if it's a premiere, if it's a finale, if it's a series finale, it's Nicotero, at least for the last, 8 seasons.
Yeah, pretty much. If it's and he's done a lot of like mid-season finale, mid-season like premieres too. So yeah. You figure you got an opportunity to do almost 4 influential episodes per season for the last 8 or so years. You're looking at over, 30 directing credits at least. And I know he's got that and probably more. Yeah.
And of course, he's also, the person basically running the special effects department for the show. So he oversees all of the practical effects that you see in there, all of the makeup and the cosmetic stuff, So yeah, I mean, when we met him, he is a delight and just a mensch of mensch, and we love him. We love Greg Nicotero. Yeah. He is amazeballs.
Yeah, he told me to fuck off.
He told
both of us to fuck off.
Right. He gave us a drop, and then he went, anything else? And we went, no. And he said, all right, work off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So cold open, Daryl basically right where we left off with Daryl like breaking into the hospital area, rushing Judith in, calling for help. The biggest part of that scene to me was that it had a lot of callbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really, really great. There was the out of focus kind of filming, and there were ghouls that were crowding the glass. It all felt very season 1 when they were inside that mall, or inside that store downtown in Atlanta, and they were sort of pinned in and they were surrounded by the Zeds there. And I really liked that. And yeah. So there was, Judith is sort of on death's door, as it were. And the out of focus filming was very, it had a lot of Rick Grimes feeling to it, like when he was in the hospital after being shot in the very first episode. So there was some feelings there, and I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah. There was also this, I think it was after the all of that. There were some more callbacks in a later scene, but the hospital itself, I mean, you figure the setting, the very first episode of the show, there's a lot of really important things that happen within a hospital. So for them to have a couple of really important scenes sort of starting the episode off, same thing in a hospital, it was nice. It was nice they were doing some some sideline things there. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Not just a hospital, but an abandoned hospital.
Right. The only thing that I thought was weird was I didn't realize they were going to like the Commonwealth Hospital. Mm-hmm. I could have sworn when they were in the previous episode, when they were running around and they were like trying to figure out where to go, Ezekiel says something about, we got to get her to the clinic. Mm-hmm. So when he used that terminology, I thought they were going to the place where Ezekiel was sort of secretively taking care of, all of the citizens, sort of in the back room area, whatever that was. That's what I thought they were going to. And it certainly felt like it because they were in, those lower wards. They were in like the poor people sections, if you were, mm-hmm. And they were getting all fenced in. So I didn't realize that they were at like the legit Commonwealth Hospital until they were talking about it later. I mean, the glass doors and all of that, obviously, but it was a little dissonant to me in the beginning because I was like, why is he here? This is different. Like, I don't know. I felt like it was a poor choice of words in the previous episode that sort of set me up for like just a slight case of mild confusion in the beginning. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because I thought the same thing, because he does. Ezekiel, the way he talks and what he says leads you to believe, oh, they're going to like where he is doing all the illegal surgery. Yeah. And I guess the only thing that you could say maybe is that they couldn't get there because of the barricades that were thrown up, and so Daryl is sort of improvising and knows mm-hmm. he has to get her to a doctor soon, so he went to the hospital, which he could get to. I don't know.
Yeah, the hospital.
They'll fix it next episode. Oh wait.
Oh, I was gonna say they'll fix it in post, but I'm like, we're post.
We're past post.
Past post. We're in the past post. And so that was the cold open. You get like there's some sort of off scene fight with Daryl. He falls down. And it sort of fades, and we go to the. Go ahead.
You get like it's like Judith like kind of coming in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
From it, that she's sort of in and out, and then he's looking over her, and then she kind of fades out a bit, and then when she comes back, she sees the stormtroopers rush by, and then she fades out, and then when she comes back, Daryl's clearly been clocked, right? Because he's got that massive shiner for the rest of the episode, and he's like lying on the floor unconscious, and of course that's when Judith, summons up all of the strength of her daddy, Shane, and gets up and goes and, holds off one of the ghouls and puts the table in front of the door, does all that stuff and really saves both of them. Because if she would have just passed out, they would have died.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was definitely one of those moments where it was like he did all of that to try and save her. And now she definitely like jumps in to do whatever she can to save Daryl and save herself, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was very heroic of her. You always forget how young she is. In real life, I think, obviously age has caught up with her a little bit.
She's looking a little bit older than she did.
Yeah, she was, I think in real life, she's somewhere like 15 or so.
I was going to say like 14 or 15, yeah.
But still playing someone who's in that 10 to 11 range. And she does fine. Like, she definitely does it. So that's fine. But, she has those moments. And then when she when she was finished and she passed out, and that was a nice shot with them sort of laying on the ground together. Mm-hmm. And it, then the theme music starts and we fade away. Is an interesting way to sort of start the episode. You see how small she is next to Norman Reedus, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. She's still a small child.
She's still rather teeny.
She's rather tiny, if you will. And I just wanted to make a point about the opening theme, and it's a sort of if you pardon the pun, a theme throughout the actual episode. But if you didn't notice when you were and this is for not you but like the listeners, the opening theme is actually full orchestration. It's they have a full orchestra behind them. If you have to really, if it's not something you normally would hear, just take a second, close your eyes, listen to it, and you can hear there's levels to that opener that just aren't there before, because it's just, a handful of instruments that were making that noise previously, or making that tune. Now this is, 100 instruments doing the same thing. So it's much fuller. There's a lot. It's very full, very lush. And it sounds great. But it's also throughout the entire episode. The entire episode is scored with a full orchestra, as opposed to like, what was probably like a much smaller, handful of instruments, the way Bear would normally do the music. And how do I know that? Because they talked about it in the This Is How We Made the Finale documentary.
All right.
So I was sort of listening for it the first time through. I noticed it it was more noticeable in the opener, in the opening theme song. And then I just promptly forgot about it because I was like, oh my God, watching the episode. But then the second time through, you can hear it. You can hear the difference between, just like, the difference between like one violin and bass playing in the background, or a violin and cello, and then you change that to like an entire string section playing. There's a big difference. Mm-hmm. So, obviously that first time through the episode, your brain is slightly elsewhere, but do know that it was definitely scored beautifully, and sounded very, I don't know, I guess full is the best way I can put it. It's just very full.
Yeah, it did. Well, it just had that orchestral sound to it that, mm-hmm. The way they normally score an episode with a synthesizer, simulating instruments.
Yeah, most likely,
and while that's usually fine, particularly coming out of your TV speakers, you're right. There's a total difference. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah. So once we get away from the opener, which we're at full maximum blood dripping down the title card of The Walking Dead. I think at this one it's on the W, and it's like dripping down the W. And it looks super cool. But right off the bat, when we come back from commercial, we jump right into the action that's back out on the street. So, Daryl and Judith are inside the hospital, passed out on the floor, but everybody else is fighting back the ghouls on the street. And I hate to make a funny, but the ghouls got jewels.
They did.
I have a little pad of paper that I kept next to me when I watched it live. And I had it just in case I had notes, and the only thing I wrote down was 1 down, Jules, and that's it. And then I put Luke bit right underneath it. But I then was too like sucked in to even think about notes. I didn't really take any notes of any kind the first time through, except that one. As soon as someone died, I was like, one down. I was expecting to do much more of a tally, and that just didn't really pan out.
Never really panned out. Well, you added Rosita.
Yeah, and there were some, no-namers. There were plenty of people that were there as part of the group that got either
someone named Marissa.
Yeah, they got either pulled in while they were in the hospital and got like sucked out the doors or got grabbed there, or there were some people along with Jules and Luke that got caught by the ghouls out on the street. So Jules is gone. Like, she's pulled away and is absolutely devoured. And Luke falls down to the ground and he's bit. Like a nice big chunk out of like his shin, I guess. Yeah, right in his lower leg.
Yeah.
Well, and
she gets bit on the arm, much like Lydia. And then Luke grabs her and is like trying to like get her to safety, and like a ghoul comes up behind him and just tackles him.
Yeah.
That's how he ends up on the ground. And then he rolls over, and then of course the ghouls just descend on Jules. Ghouls and Jules, it's so funny. And
Julia Goulia.
Julia Goulia, there we go, right? And they just whisk her away. I mean, much like Barbara in the original Night of the Living Dead, when she grabs hold of Johnny when he finally shows up at the end and just, takes just into the crowd and is gone. And then with Luke, that's when they take a big chunk out of his leg before finally somebody shows up. And I can't remember if it's Connie or one of his people shows up and starts, helping him out and blasting the ghouls. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, that was one of the things that was spoiled for me like about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow a picture got released and it was probably just, knowing now how it played out, it was probably just a production photo while they were in the midst of filming and he was relaxing. But there was a picture that showed up online that circulated a little bit that showed the street, and it had whatever was happening in the foreground. Luke was on the ground in the back. And his eyes were closed. But I don't know if that was, I'm just taking a nap because we're in between scenes and it was a production photo, but it was definitely, you knew, like, once, Luke and Jules showed back up again in the last moments of last week, I was like, yeah, something's bad's going to happen. And he wasn't killed out on the street, so it was a slightly different, but he does eventually die. Which I really thought that death scene was, I thought it was really well done, because I thought it was so brutal, because they clearly tried cutting off the bitten portion of his leg, and there's nobody in the hospital, there's nothing to do, so they did that, and he just lost too much blood. Oh God. And he just, essentially he just bleeds out pretty much. And they are covered. But I thought that the way they did it, he's there and he's, when they pull everyone off the street and they're like, we gotta go. And they like fight back a little bit and go down like an alleyway somewhere. You show like Daryl, like it's like a time jump a little bit, probably, I don't know, about a half an hour from where we were when Daryl was knocked out, because he's in the midst of being like taken care of, and he's dying, and Luke is on the other side of the room and he's dying. But I wanted just the stuff with Luke, I thought was really beautifully done, because it's all his people. It's Connie and Magna and Yumiko and Kelly, and all four of them get to be there. And as brutal as it was, they were there to say goodbye, to say they loved him, to, hand off the harmonica like he did, and and as scared as he was, and he was crying, and they all were just wailing and everything. It was really raw, and it's crazy because when the episode was over, I felt mad because I thought it was a really well done scene, but it was a shame because Luke has never been like an A level character. It just hasn't been. He's been on a lower tier, and I felt like that would have been a great scene, like a brutal scene to have with someone who maybe and Luke was an adorable person, and I'm sure everybody was sad to see him go, and he never did anything but be like adorable and fun and sweet and kind and all of that. But we weren't as connected to Luke as we were to say, like, what if that same scene had happened with Gabriel, or had happened with Aaron, or
Ezekiel, or
anyone else,
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh, this bodes badly for the rest of the episode. And then by the end of the episode, I was like, oh, that was our one really brutal death.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, Rosita's death was brutal in its own way, but she got to be a little bit more, she got to say goodbye in a really nice and slow manner.
She got to go out to dinner.
Yeah, I mean, she got a really nice meal. She got to drink wine.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Luke didn't get any of those things, but I feel like that scene would have been even more brutal and honest about, the apocalypse, etc., if that had been a character that had a little bit more of a following or a little bit more weight to them, even if it had been Yumiko, because Yumiko has been very prominent in the last 2 seasons or so, all the Commonwealth stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's really, really sort of risen up there. That would have been different, it would have had such a different flavor. I don't know. This scene says everything I felt about the whole episode. I thought that scene was brutal and excellent and awesome, but should have been somebody else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I kept expecting Yumiko to lean forward and go, Luke, where have you been? Just because, I mean, that's the first time that any of them have seen him.
Right.
In 19 episodes. So it's like, dude, where the hell have you been, man?
Right.
I mean,
right.
Yeah. And so, yes, I agree. And one of the things I thought was really funny about that they killed those 2 people is that there's a note on the wiki that now with Jules dying, there are no named characters from Oceanside that we know are still alive.
Yeah.
Because all the other people, because again, they never resolved the Hornsby coin flip.
No. I think it was intimated that Oceanside is gone, but does that mean it's gone? They're dead?
Yes, that's the thing. We don't know, and so and that's what the wiki is saying, is that there are other characters from Oceanside that have names, and we did not actually see them die, but we don't know if they're alive.
Right.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. And you're right. It was brutal. There's no doubt. And it kind of gives you a sense of, how, it's not just, yes, the ghouls were responsible, but there's just, so many things that can happen to you in the apocalypse that you can't recover from. Right. Yeah. The thing that I just laughed at, and this is just me, is that, literally Luke, kind of closes his eyes for a second, and immediately that knife comes out and they hand it to poor Magna, and she just, slices it, puts it into his neck or his head to kill him. And I'm like, did anyone check his pulse? What if he just passed out or something?
Yeah. Yeah. He could have just passed out from lack of
blood. I mean, it's like, it doesn't mean he's dead yet, But they wasted no time. It's just like, it was almost like Monty Python, where he's like, I think I'm feeling better. And they're like, no, Luke, you're gonna die. Sorry,
I'd like to go for a walk.
Yeah, that's right.
No, you're done for. Sorry, your
You'll be
character's
stone
done.
dead in a moment. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that I didn't think of it at the time, but I loved that you.
It was just so fast. The other thing though that I really thought was well done was that as that scene is unfolding, we get, like, on the other side of the room, we have Daryl talking to Carol.
Right.
And they're kind of, she's kind of filling him in on what's going on, that one group went out to try and find Mercer and another group went out to find the kids, and that, they're gonna all rendezvous. And as they're trying to do this, you kind of hear what's going on at the Luke table. And, someone wails or is crying or whatever, and you just kind of see, like, both Daryl and Carol kind of, like, glance over there with this, like, holy crap, oh my God, look of, like, oh, this is awful, and it just kind of brought it home that yes, this is a tragic, horrible moment, but there are, like, bigger things going on, and we don't have time.
Yeah.
We can't wait. We can't take a moment and mourn. We just have to keep going,
Which was another thing that sort of lent to the, the brutality of what was going on, is you're not even going to have time to mourn him or do anything with his corpse. They're literally going to have to just leave him, take care of their shit, and then come back, hopefully later, and, maybe have him buried somewhere.
Yeah. And you have to hope that he didn't get eaten.
Yeah. Pull that door shut, baby.
Yeah.
Ears open.
The other thing too, just about this sequence that I really liked was, I liked that when the ghouls grab Jules. I'm just gonna chuckle at that all episode. I'm sorry. I just liked that she was there and then she was gone.
Yeah.
That there were just so many of them that, she got bit. She kind of got isolated a little bit. They were able to, get numbers on her, and you know what? She's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And gone. And like there's so many ghouls that are now taking a bite out of her that you can't even see her anymore. I mean, that I like that. And I had really high hopes of her. So I'm like, oh my God, they're going to kill like 12 people right now. Like everything we thought, like, how could they possibly do that? I'm like, Yumiko and Magna and Kelly and Connie and all of these kind of, like you said, lesser characters, and I hate to say that for some of them, but let's be honest, they're newer and lesser, right? They didn't make it out of the alley. There just was too many of them, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that, that's part of this show. That would have been bold, because now you have these people like, oh my God, we have to go kill Pamela, but hey, we just lost half of our group.
Yeah. So,
but anyway, it didn't turn out that way. But I did like the way they made Jules just sort of, go under the ghoul water, if you will, and then that was it.
Yeah, it was much more realistic than most of the other ghoul deaths you see. And I think it really helped give a sense of how large the swarm was, or the herd was, because she got bit. And within like 5 seconds, she's bit so much, it didn't matter if you put your hand in to try and pull her out, she would be dead no matter what. Yeah. And that's the thing that's brutal too, is that moment of deciding, like, if I reach in to try and pull you out, you're already dead. Do I risk myself by putting my hand into this situation? Yes. And then during that transition from, we could grab her, we can't grab her, and then boom, she's gone. Like, you can't even see her anymore. Yeah. She's just swallowed up by the crowd, no pun.
Yeah. Right. But yeah. And Luke made that decision. He said, I'm going to, risk everything to try and save her, and it cost him his life.
Yeah, it sure did. It did. From the Luke death in the hospital, we sort of jump away to we've got Gabriel and Rosita and
Eugene.
Yeah, Gabriel, Rosita, and Eugene are out there looking for the kids, and they come upon probably the place that Red Shirt Tyler was talking about, like some kids, like, you know, daycare or whatever. And it's not looking good because they come in and like the people who work there, like the babysitters or whatever, are dead and on the floor. But the scene opened with this really great, it's just a close up on this ghoul that's chewing on an arm, and it's just like the mouth and the teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, and the teeth are like all like janky and broken and weird looking. And it's very fresh because it's very red blood that they're, and he's just chomping away like he's having his dinner. And it was gross because it was like right up in the frame, like it was consuming like the frame of the filming. It was the only thing going on, and you couldn't like not look at it. It was mesmerizing.
Yeah. It was a Nicotero special without a doubt.
It was very well done. Although she looked a little rare. She was a little on the rare side because she was a little bloody. So they pan the camera over to the hallway. You see them come in. And upon seeing that the ghouls are in process of eating the babysitters, like Rosita starts pushing ahead. And then for a hot second, there's silence. Then you hear baby cry. And she's like, I got it. And she gone. Like, Rosita's gone. And she's like, that's my baby. I'm going to get her. And she, like, literally, she gets in there and she is kicking ass. She walks through the door. I loved the choreography of the moment. She walks through the door and immediately a ghoul grabs her wrist, and she is mama action right away. She's bang on the head. She gets one other one, and she gets another one that's on the floor. But then she gets the one that was right by, I guess, the one thing that the babysitters did that was actually very helpful. They flipped over the little playpens that the kids were in. So they were in like little cages. So they were safe relatively from the ghouls for now.
How do we know that that's not how they always have those playpens?
I mean, they could.
This could have been like baby jail for all we know.
I mean, it could have been. I mean, they had the kids from all of the Alexandria people there.
The insurrectionists, so. Yes. I mean, come on.
I mean, we want to teach them a lesson.
That's right.
And sure, they don't know how to speak yet or hold their head up, but that's no reason you can't teach them a lesson anyway. Yeah. So there was one ghoul that was on the ground that was trying to get at Coco and was reaching in through the bars, and Coco's crying, and Rosita's like not having it. Bang, bang, bang. And then flips it up and she's got Coco, and it's everything's fine. But it was, I'm not surprised that she reacted that way because, oh my God, Rosita's reaction back at Alexandria with Warden No Name when she was, trying to find out where the kids were and
Where's Coco?
Yeah, exactly. She was. I knew when she was reacting that way that we were destined to have a scene that was similar to this, where she just killed everything in sight in order to get to her kid, which is completely understandable. She was like representing all the mamas out there that would have done the same thing. And it was a cool scene. And it was nice because we haven't seen a lot. Rosita's a kick-ass fighter, and we haven't been able to see a lot of that lately. I mean, she's a soldier for a bit there, so you got to see some scenes there, but to see her like go to town on some ghouls in just, as Rosita, not as Soldier Rosita, it was just nice. It was a nice little scene there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I think they went back to the hospital after that scene. God,
well, actually, they Luke dies, and Daryl starts giving blood to Judith. And then the ghouls start breaking into the hospital, and so they decide they gotta go, and it's at that point that we get a really nice callback to an earlier episode where we find out like Shane went back to see Rick when all this stuff was starting, because they want to move Judith, and Daryl's like starts to get her out of the room and then realizes, no, we need to like kind of shore up the defenses first. So he puts her back in the room, and then he closes the door, and then he rolls the gurney in front of the door just like Shane did, and then he tips over the rack full of all the supplies onto the ground, creating more blockage just like Shane did, back when the army guys shot all the patients and the ghouls were coming and he had to get out of there, kind of a thing, right? And he couldn't take Rick with him. So I thought that was a really, really nice, obviously planned callback to the pilot episode where we first got into this. But you're right. Then I think it jumps actually to Princess rescuing Mercer next, and then it goes to the kids. But it might have been the other way. But we see that sequence too, that Princess and Max go and literally blow open the cell door to get out Mercer out of jail. And it's at that point that I think they all decide they have to go to the estates, because that's the only safe place. That's where Pamela is. That's where the rest of the soldiers are. And, that's what they're trying to protect. So I think that's kind of the sequence. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no. And I was just going to say the scene where Daryl slides the bed and then puts the stuff by the door. They eventually, the hospital starts to get overrun. They break in, so they have to go away. They have to pull Judith out of there and go in a different direction. But before that happened, they were trying to, they're following the screams pretty much, and they go to a different area by the front where the glass is, and there was a ghoul with a rock, and he knocks, and just like in episode 2, and picks up the rock and breaks the glass with that. I thought that was a cool callback. There was also when they do break through and start coming in, they're fighting them and trying to hold them back as best they can, but they do grab a couple of them. And I noticed on second watch there was a dude, like an unnamed dude, that got grabbed and pulled in, and he had a baseball hat on. And I just thought that was a nice kind of Glenn-ish callback, because he was there with the baseball hat on when they were there in that store in episode 2. So it was all very, little bits and pieces that sort of call back to that episode.
There's actually 2 people you see get kind of sucked out of the hospital once the breach starts, because Kelly and Connie and those folks, they are by one of the doors and might be where the guy smashes the window with the rock, but somebody there, and I think it's a woman, gets pulled out, and they literally like close the doors and lock them, and once she's outside, because they make the decision of, we can't help her, and if we try and help her, all that's going to happen is we're going to die. So boom, lock the door, or at least close the door and make it harder type thing. But I did notice the one guy who kind of did have sort of a Glenn look to him. I thought that was kind of interesting. So
I thought it was cool because they didn't make it like, it'd be different if he had a red hat on or something. It would have been way too obvious. So it was almost like they were just trying to have like a Glenn kind of vibe there, as opposed to like, oh, this represents Glenn. So things are starting to fall apart inside, and then outside there's also Gabe and Rosita and Eugene were trying to get to everybody at the hospital as well. They're all communicating via walkie-talkies that never run out of batteries, and they end up inside the back of a ambulance, and I will not for the life of me ever understand why they ever left that ambulance. I don't understand. Like, when they were in the ambulance is when the walkers were starting to breach the hospital, so they wouldn't be able to like meet up with their friends, and they knew they'd have to like sort of rally around and meet up or group up together someplace else. But they were in relative safety. They were inside something with a door that shut. They could have done the usual thing, which is cover yourself up, wait for them to get a little bored, and they will move away. Because they're all being pulled toward gunfire, noises, and other stuff, they probably would have eventually left that ambulance alone. And I just do not understand why. And I know that all three of them, if you didn't notice, all three of them had kids with them. So they're carrying, they've got Coco, they've got, they talked about it later on down the road. They've got Adam, who was the one who was the whisperer baby that they ended up taking in. And then
that Omni's sister had, or whatever her name was.
Yeah. And then there was another, they rescued another baby, and I'm not sure whose it was. It might have been one of Jerry and Nabila's kids, maybe. I don't know. But there was like a third. So these were all small babies that were in like these cribs, and they each had one strapped to them, like to their front or to their back. So I could understand to a degree that they didn't think that the babies would stay quiet enough for that to be an effective place. But inside is, with walkers banging on the outside, is still better than opening up the back and getting out. I don't understand that. It was one of those things that made me go, come on. And all three of them are seasoned. They know what they're doing. Eugene sometimes is less seasoned in like the tactics and stuff because he didn't join in with a lot of that stuff. But Rosita and Gabriel definitely know better, without question. So they pop open the back of the ambulance, and then they're like, we got to figure out what to do. I'm like, get back in the ambulance and shut the door. They're like, we got to figure out where to go, what to do. We got to go. And then they're like, their brilliant solution is to climb this pipe to get up to the second floor of this building. And I'm like, there was so much about this whole circumstance that felt so stupid. So they're climbing up this pipe. And then these two gentlemen who love Rosita so much and love Coco so much, they're like, come on, Rosita, go. She's like, no, I got it. You guys go. And they're like, okay. And they just climb up the pole.
She just told them to go.
I know she did, but I'm like, I still don't understand.
This is a modern women's lib world, okay? Guys do not hold doors open for women here. Guys do not let them climb up the pipe first when the ghouls are coming anymore, okay? She knew what she was doing.
I guess. To me, it felt less about needing to save Rosita in that moment. It felt more like Gabriel and Eugene have a connection to Coco as well. And so it's like, yes, you're saving Rosita, but this isn't about us making Rosita go up first. It's about making Coco get up there first, Yes, we're all carrying babies, but this is the one we have a connection to. I don't know. It just, I don't understand why they didn't insist that she goes first. Anyway, so she goes last, of course, and she's struggling, and they reach their hands out and they're trying to get her, and she falls. And I'm not gonna lie, Rosita's never been like in my top 5 or anything. She's a kick-ass character. I never like. She never
it's okay.
She never resonated with me. There was never anything that I.
Rosita knows what she did to you. It's okay.
That's okay. But when she fell, I was like, and I gasped. So I was like, but then when she fell, I was like, wait a minute, because there was something else that was spoiled. I saw either a picture or in that documentary, in something like that, they show Rosita fighting on the top of the ambulance, which hadn't happened yet. So when she fell, I was like, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Oh,
She's
wait.
supposed to fight the ghouls on top of the ambulance. Oh, here she comes. Yeah. So, yeah. But that initial, like, because she fell was very, I mean, you can't help it. So what did you think of other than you standing up for, you go, sir, and stand up for women's lib, which means they don't have to go first.
That's right.
We
respect Rosita way too much. to like make her climb up there first. Come on now.
What did you think of that scene, the climb and the fall?
Well, I mean, I thought the climb was dumb. I mean, have you ever tried to climb a sewer pipe like that?
No, not when there's a perfectly good ambulance to hide in that's right there. But
yeah, well, I mean, to answer that question, I believe there's was some radio chatter that Rosie had with either Carol or someone else, and first of all, they say that the ambulance is out, and she dropped an F-bomb there. There's a lot of F-bombs in this episode.
Yeah.
And so the ambulance it can't move. It won't run anymore. Somehow they forked it up. And the response from Carol is that they're all trying to get to where Mercer is, where there are trucks and troops and guns and ammo, and they have to move now. That's why they have to get out of the ambulance. They can't sit there and wait because they have to join up with everybody else. They're not going to wait for them. And again, thousands of ghouls pouring in. You know, when is there ever going to be a moment where there are a few of them that they can get out and get away? You know what I mean? It's just no. So they had no choice. They had to get out. As I see your point of, you know, that was a safe place, but you know there's a plan, right? There's a goal they're trying to achieve, and that doesn't mean they can just sit there. So plus there's also the variance. What if one of the ghouls opens the door?
That's true. But I don't think any of them had seen the variants yet, so they might not have.
They saw the one climb up at the end of last week when Negan went, "What the fork?"
Yeah, that's true.
But
I'm also a big fan of, you know, can you not, like, I can't believe, and I know things were moving fast, but do you not, okay, this is what we're going to do. Do you not pull a ghoul inside and use the guts?
Yeah,
I was really surprised that nobody used it as a method to get out. Like, in the hospital, I get it. They were getting overrun. But yes, a variant could have opened the door, and yes, they needed to move quickly to get out of there. Mm-hmm. But I think they could have done that. Or I'm also a fan of, they're inside an ambulance. There's got to be some kind of flammable or medical something in there. You can't open a window and throw like a Molotov cocktail of like a bottle of alcohol or something, like rubbing alcohol, and set something on fire further away, lead them away, at least to give themselves a fighting chance. Right. That's the part that always bothers me, is not so much like, I get it. In the moment, you're making the decision. You're just like, you don't know what to do next. But I hate when there isn't like, there's things you've done in the past that would help you clear a little bit of a path so that it'll give you a fighting chance. And they didn't do those things. And I was just surprised to see people that know better to just sort of barrel out of the ambulance and go, okay, we got to figure something out.
Yeah. But literally, it's just like, we got to go. And you know, this is a dumb idea, but we don't have any choice. And I like I said, I thought the pipe thing was, I mean, I just doubt that any of those people would be able to climb up that pipe unencumbered. All three of them have children strapped to their chests. Yeah. In these, you know, papoose things, right? That is going to certainly make it more difficult. There's no footholds at all. I mean, it was just like, you know, guys, at least like give them a chance. At least let the audience go, okay, maybe they could like get a foothold there. You know, there's some mortar there, you know, 2 bricks or the space, nothing. I mean, there was nothing. Nope. There was no. It was literally pulling on that pole, that pipe, whatever it was, a drain pipe. Yeah. As far as when she fell, I liked it, and as cool as it was to see her kind of spring up and just, you know, go into full Rambo mode and just be, you know, kicking ass there. I would have. My comment was, it would have been way cooler if she did the same thing that Jules did, that she falls into this like sea of ghouls and she's just gone. Yeah. I would have liked that much better. Now, the fact that the baby's there, I kind of knew. I'm like, because at first I'm like, wow, they're going to kill her that way. And then something in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, but what about Coco? And then, oh, there she is. She's up and she's okay. And now she's, she's on top of the ambulance, you know, and so on. But But yeah, that was my critique for that sequence. Was I would have just preferred to just, you know what, she's gone, and that would have been the line. What happened to Rosita? She fell, she's gone.
Yeah.
So but again, this is what we got, and again, unfortunately it's gonna pay dividends in a negative way later on, because we're gonna get like the 10-minute death scene with her that I would thought was a complete waste of time. And it's like, guys, let's tell more story. Okay. I get it. That this is supposed to be like the emotional piece of the moment of the episode, but really, she's going to die. Let's go. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. So anyway, I'm jumping ahead. So go ahead.
No. You're fine. We're going to be doing a lot of that. They do eventually, of course, triumph, because nobody dies.
Nobody dies.
I mean, not yet. They triumph.
Nobody but Luke dies.
Yeah. Luke and Jules. Jules eaten by the ghouls.
Jules and
so, like they said over the walkie, they do sort of reconvene at a look like it was a supplying station for the soldiers or whatever. But there were some trucks there. They were loading up with some things, and then another truck pulls in, and it's the dude who was loyal to Mercer.
It's like Mercer's second in command or something.
Yeah, and he'd had him sort of on his side for the possible, Pamela stuff and whatever. He seemed like he was definitely a Mercer person, not a Pamela person. So it was good to see that sort of follow through, that he came back, and as soon as it was like, I need to find some people, it was like he was right there. They're talking about what their plans are, and basically the plan is that they've got to get to the estates, because it's the only place that has walls right now that can keep them out. But they're trying to figure out a way to sort of get in there, silently and quietly. But they're looking for a safe house, because they've got to get Judith and Lydia to Tommy, so that he can take a look at them. So they're working out all of that stuff, because they were loading up these trucks, and there's some ghouls that start showing up, and Ezekiel's like, wait, and like Aaron and Lydia just show up. Mm-hmm. They're just like how Jules and Luke sort of like they came out of the crowd. It was sort of the same thing. They came around a corner, there's some ghouls, and then it was like, wait, and then there's Aaron. And so they're able to rejoin the group. They all get together to sort of get out of there, and etc. They're all talking about things that need to be done. And there's this really great line where Aaron says, we could do more. And Ezekiel looks at him and he says, then let's do more.
Yeah. And they hear a woman scream.
Yeah. And it elicits a reaction from them that, they can be, because they're trying to help as many people as they can, but they can't get everyone. But
right.
Yeah. I really liked that line. I thought it was, it was very, very Aaron, and it was very like, I want to call it sort of like new Ezekiel, where he sort of found his place. He's sort of gotten his mojo back as the person who inspires people and gets them to like, follow his lead. And, I think he lost that when that's the thing that he was saying to Negan. Negan took that away from him. And now he's just feeling like such a part of a community and part of this whole, just this group, and it was nice. It was a nice line and said a lot about both of those characters. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. I agree. I thought that was, you knew that the strings had to come together, and the story threads. And so, Aaron, much more so than Lydia, being much more of a central character. You knew he wasn't going to be like, he wasn't going to be a Jerry and just kind of like pop up and like, oh yeah, there's Jerry. They were going to do something a little bit more so he could be more involved. So that was good that they got him there. I like out of that scene, I kind of like the end of it where he's talking to Lydia and he kind of goes, there'll be times when you can still feel your arm there.
Yeah.
And
weird.
and everything. And then he kind of says, but it goes away. And then Lydia pretty much kind of has like a little breakdown where she's convinced that Elijah's dead, that he didn't make it, that Jerry didn't make it, that's why they haven't shown up yet. And what I really liked in that scene is that Aaron, he let her kind of get it all out, and then he just looked at her and he goes, I haven't given up hope.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of, as much as Ezekiel kind of, knows it has his place as the leader and the inspirational guy, Aaron is there as this sort of empath, this emotional, kind of hard point for people to grab onto when they're just at their lowest.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really good at that. And he's usually in exactly the right place when someone's in that moment. He just happens to be there. Must be an empath thing to be able to do.
It's really good writing.
Yeah. Convenient, you'd say, but well, that's fine. There's some great scenes that happen inside this safe house that they have, but they're all sort of gathering and getting ready for like what the next step is. And one of those is, there's a scene earlier on where, Maggie made it clear she's got this big long gun that she's going to be using for Pamela. Negan asked, when they were preparing to head over to the estates, he's like, oh, is that for Pammy and whatever? And she's just like ignoring him, not even speaking to him. And there's a moment where they're inside there and they're kind of planning out, let's do this, let's do that. And Maggie comes up and she's like, has anyone seen Negan? And they were like, no, not for a bit. And she heads out and he grabbed that rifle and was sort of heading up to a high vantage point. And she's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And they have like a whole, like, they not knock down, drag out, but they have this whole confrontation where she's basically, she wants to do this. And I think deep down, the way Negan describes it, he's expecting like, Negan's not going to lead this group if they overcome Pamela and they take this place over. Negan's not going to be a leader or an advisor or like a lieutenant governor. He's not going to be that person. But Maggie could be one of those people. She's already a leader of these people. So he basically is like, they're all going to hate you after you shoot Pamela. It doesn't matter if I do it. They'll hate me anyway. So he's basically like, let me do this for you. And she is like resistant. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want him to do anything for her. And eventually he takes a moment and he tells her how I can't believe he said it. He said he was sorry. And and he basically says, when he realized he was on his knees and, he has his wife and his unborn child coming and all this other stuff. And he's like, he finally realized what he had taken away from her and that how brutal it was, etc. And he apologized for what he took from her. And you can see her sort of take it in and absorb what he says. There's like no change to her face. She reaches over and takes the rifle and starts walking away with it. And he just feels like, oh man, I can't get anywhere with her. And she stops at the top of the stairs and she's like, are you coming? So basically, like, I don't know what to say to this thing you just did, but yes, let's go and kill Pamela and maybe together one of us can shoot, maybe the other one won't. I don't know. But it's the Negan apology. What were your thoughts on it?
I was like you. I was surprised. I thought for sure that while he appears to have changed and is not necessarily the douchey guy he was, he hadn't changed enough to where he would ever admit that, what he did was bad and wrong, at least out loud.
Yeah.
So that caught me by surprise a little. But again, it's the farewell stop on the Negan apology tour. So he kind of had worked his way through the whole group, and finally this was the last person that he had to, sort of convince that, old Negan is no longer in the building and this is new Negan. So it makes sense, structurally for the story. Like you though, I was just surprised. I was like, really? He's gonna actually say he saw? Oh, okay. And I like that Maggie wasn't having any of it because she's like, what's your angle here?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't have an angle. He's like, look, I'm just doing this for you. And then he like you said, he goes, if you do this, the whole world's gonna come down on you. And you won't be around, and you need to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell like some of it is like she's hearing it, but she's really trying hard to not, give off any reaction, right? She keeps her face very stoned and emotionless, and then she just, like you said, her response is to just keep going up the stairs and then look back at him saying, are you coming? So it's sort of like, we're going to table it. We're going to put a pin in this little discussion.
We'll get back to this.
We'll get back to this, assuming that we live,
Yeah.
So again, I kind of right there with you in that I was definitely like, okay, well, I guess they're really trying to push this Maggie Negan series, and they need to have a truce put up between them that we're going to believe.
Yeah. I felt like when it first started, I was like, this, him trying to say like, we can be not friends, but we can get along. When he first started talking, I was like, oh God, this again, the heartfelt something from Negan. I'm like, like you said, they're really trying to like, see, these guys can be pals on the road in the future and not have any problems with each other. And I'm
it's
like,
the Apocalypse Odd Couple.
Exactly.
She's unwed or a widowed mother. He's the guy that killed her husband. I mean, it's almost like a sitcom.
Yeah, no kidding. And I wasn't having it. And I didn't expect, like you said, I didn't expect the apology. So,
yeah.
I like that she didn't say anything. I like that if the later scene didn't happen, I still like the way it was structured. But I like it even more knowing that she responds to him because she's a human and she's respectful of others, even people that are disrespectful to her. So she knows she's going to have to address this, but now is not the time. And she needed to focus on other things. And I really like that it was like, she basically was like, ain't nobody got time for this shit. We're fighting for our lives. So while I agree that yes, maybe you should take the shot, we'll see, but come with me, we'll figure it out. And the rest of this, we'll have to talk about that later, but she didn't say those words. She literally just, quietly walked away. And I'm like, that took a lot. Cause that like in her soul, she want to be like, how dare you? And, give him the business. But, again, time and place. So yeah, I thought it was nice they put it in there. I frankly, leading into them setting up this spin-off series, I did not expect a sorry to happen. I honestly thought they were going to wait until we got into the spin-off and they'd have these moments. I'm surprised they took care of it now before they went into the spin-off. I figured there'd be some sort of inciting incident that would have them be like, partners in crime. And then while they're there, they have this sort of, come to Jesus and chat about all of the stuff from their past. But they took care of it now. So I guess we don't have to worry about it in the spin-off, I guess.
There'll be some kind of a recap, perhaps.
Oh yeah.
You know, where
Maybe
like,
he'll pick up a bat and kill someone in the spin-off series who'd be like, I'm sorry, was that triggering for you to watch that?
no, it'll be the two of them, and they'll be like trying to like one of them's trying to pick a lock, and the other one is just sort of like making small talk, and they'll be like, hey, you remember that time right before Pamela went down when you said all that stuff about being sorry? One of those totally real conversations that nobody ever has ever in real life, right?
Yeah.
There'll be something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we don't have to worry about that because they already took care of at least the first part of it, and we'll get to the second part of it in a bit. The other really big moment that happened while they were sort of holed up in this safe house was Rosita revealed to Eugene that she'd been bit. And I thought, I agree with your point you said later. Her death scene was very long, but I feel like this, like the length and the time that they spent on this was different. I felt like something personal with just her and Eugene was so excited. He wanted to be, he's trying to say, he can't wait to go swimming in the summer and like, looking forward to certain things. And she's sort of like crashing down like, yeah, you can go swimming with Coco, but I won't be there pretty much, and, there's no happy ending for me here, etc. I thought that was a really beautiful scene. I actually like that scene with the two of them and the sort of silent scene she has later with Gabriel. I like those scenes better than her death scene.
Better than the scene in the bedroom?
Yeah. I liked this because this was more real. It was just the two of them. It was just her and Eugene in this, and then her and Gabriel in the later scene. So it was much more raw and real, and dealing with, they don't have time to sort of think about their emotions. Everything's sort of out there for them to deal with in the moment. And I thought it was really, really well done and very raw, which is what I was hoping to get in this episode, was a lot of raw emotions and brutal things. And there was a brutal scene, Eugene, strangely, is her best friend. You would never think it, perv Eugene, who watched her have sex with
I was going to say,
Abraham.
yeah, I mean, he was the guy that would watch her, bang Abraham. I mean, clearly best friends. Yeah,
I mean, if you can't be best friends later on in life with the person who watched you while you were someplace, staying away from zombies and you're having sex on a couch somewhere in a library somewhere.
Well, and that person is probably pleasuring themselves also. Let's go into perv land here, right?
Well, he wasn't able to do it for very long because he's found by Tara, and that makes it even more like awkward and strange. And yeah. And the fact that Rosita and Abraham knew that he was watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. But yeah, that was, if you were to go back to like that time period.
You would never.
Well, first of all, he's the only one that lives out of that whole crew.
Yeah.
It's, Rosita and Eugene and Abraham, and he's gone. And Abraham's gone, Rosita's gone, he's still there. How is that possible? It's inexplicable.
I saw on the wiki they said that like Eugene is the only character from season 5, I think, is when they introduced them, that's still alive. Yeah. So all the other characters they introduced in season 5, not just Abraham and Rosita, but anybody else that they met in season 5 for the first time, they all died.
Yeah. They could have killed a few more of them. I'm sorry. Anyway. So I really liked that scene with Rosita and Eugene. The best friends that, it makes no sense on paper that they'd be best friends, but then they are best friends. They're the people, they're the closest, they're family pretty much at this point. So I thought that was a really, really great scene. And I did like they showed Judith waking up after having surgery, and it was really actually kind of cute. So first she wakes up and Norman's right there. Daryl, sorry. That's his character name, not his real name. So Daryl's right there, and he's like, "Hey, little ass kicker," and she says back, "Hey, big ass kicker," and I'm like, "Aw, that's so cute."
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice because when she sees like oh no, that was in the hospital. The hospital, she had that really scary moment where she woke up and she was like, and they were like, you're gonna be fine. She's like, am I gonna die? It feels like I'm gonna die. Oh my God, that was I felt so bad.
Well, yeah, but and also what she says in the hospital is apparently we find out that this is the first time we know this, that Michonne had told her that she knew Rick was still alive, and that's why, and that's what she says, that she's like, I can't die because Mom is gonna go find Dad, and we're all supposed to be a family. You know, and
the look on Daryl's face when she says that is like, I'm sorry, what?
Oh yeah. He's just, and you have to think, like, part of it is, kid's really low on blood right now. I'm just gonna give her a pass.
Yeah.
I mean, she, what's the line? She really has lost a lot of blood. I mean, that's how you kind of explain it. But yeah, he was clearly taken aback by that, and so now she wakes up and they're in the safe house. And, they have the big ass kicker, little ass kicker greeting. And then suddenly that comes back up, and he asks her, he's like, were you, was that true? And she said, yeah. And then she says, the reason I didn't tell you is I was afraid you'd leave too. And
then he does anyway.
I know. And then he goes,
thanks everyone, good night.
Right. And it's just so funny because I was going to say that because he's like, I'm right here. And it's just like, dude, you have a spin-off show in France, So yeah. It's very, very amusing. But yeah, so anyway, so now that cat is out of the bag.
Yeah.
Okay, now you have to assume that all of our people now are aware that Rick Grimes is still out there somewhere, or at least he was.
They kept it kind of quiet. It was literally just Judith, Carol, and Daryl right there. Mm-hmm. And when later on in the episode, when because I would assume his like sort of ranging and frontiering that he's doing is, looking for signs of them and then coming back and then looking for signs of them and coming back, kind of like he did in the past. I feel like there's an element of that to him being out in the field, as it were. They don't say anything about it. I think he keeps it quiet. I'm not sure they tell everybody else that Rick Grimes is out there and he's alive. I think they might have kept that one sort of close to the chest, the people that were right there with Judith. But that's the sense I got. I might be wrong though.
Well, it would be an interesting question for a young Angela Kang.
Yeah. We'll see what their intentions were with that. So yeah, loved the hey little ass kicker, big ass kicker, nice, call back to, he was right there when she was born, and he was nearby, and so they're sort of gathering themselves together and trying to make their plans for what's next. But then things are starting to come to a head because the citizens are outside the gates of the estates and they want in, and people start to try climbing the walls, and Pamela's ordering them to be shot. So people are dying, and Mercer's like, I can't sit around anymore. I've got to go out there and help people. And he basically is like, all right, I got to go. And he looks at everybody in the room and he's like, we'll get a truck. We'll get you all your people when you're ready, and we'll find a way to get you out of here and get you back home. So he's basically like planning, like, send them back to Alexandria so they can do their thing. And he's like, we'll take care of it. He's like, this isn't your battle. And they're like, yes, it is. Like, and Ezekiel's the first to jump in. He's like, I think this place is worth saving. It shouldn't fall. There's too many good people out there that are worth saving. And, there's a lot of, and he looks around, he's like, who else wants to help? And there's a bunch of people that jump in and they're like, I will. All the usual people you expect are like, yes, let's do this. And there's this great moment where he just looks at Mercer and he's like, lead the way, brother. And it, I think Mercer just had no expectations. He had no expectations of them helping him fight this battle at the very end, which I thought was interesting. And then they're all like, well, why wouldn't we help you? You know, we're here, and there's obviously something worth fighting for. So I just thought that was an interesting sort of flip there. The difference between Mercer, what he thought, and the way our people were thinking about the end as well. So it was cool.
Yeah, it was a fun little I Am Spartacus scene.
Yeah.
And it was an excuse to have Kari Payton give another rah-rah speech, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I started having just slight sort of fear flashback moments with Lenny James.
Yeah,
with Morgan,
a little bit. Yeah.
Because it's like after a while, Morgan he was like a one speech guy every episode, and you know, Ezekiel is kind of a little bit, and again, I liked it, and I didn't think it was overdone, but it was like, if there had been more episodes still to come, I'd be like, oh my God, please tell me we're not going to have another Ezekiel speech to rah-rah the troops here. Because that'd be 2 in 2 episodes or 3 episodes, right? It's like, okay, it's getting to be a bit much. But yeah, I thought that was, you know, it was kind of the we can do it moment, right? Where, you know, not just Ezekiel, but like everybody in the room's like, come on, let's go. You know, we're wasting time. Let's go. I'm in, you know. And so, yeah, it was, you know, kind of the, you know, telling Mercer that, you know, we're, you know, there are no more divisions among the living. It's, you know, we have to all band together here. So,
yeah, we're all in this together. So
that's right.
You know, the big inspiring speech before battle.
Yes.
The
St. Crispin speech.
Yeah, it was a very good St. Crispin speech.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't even mean to have it.
I know. And they're not even fighting the French.
I know. Not yet. That's Daryl.
Daryl will do that, and that's next year. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure he knows French. He knows a little sign language, though, so obviously he's got a knack for picking stuff up.
Daryl knows French fries.
Let's hope he learns how to parlez-vous français. So they do head out to sort of confront Pamela. You know, Mercer leads the way, and then everyone else kind of comes behind. But I thought it was interesting. I popped a little note in there. I thought it was interesting when he shows up and he's like, you know, we're gonna save these people, and and Mercer makes his rah-rah speech in front of Pamela and General Vickers. I was noticing they didn't seem surprised to see him outside of the cell that they locked him in.
Yeah, they were kind of like, oh, great.
Oh, this guy. Yeah, and I just thought that was interesting. They, you know, all of our people come from, you know, the sides. They all come in. Everybody's got a gun. They're all looking at each other. Basically, the standoff is about, we got to open that gate. The ghouls are coming. We got to open that gate and let these people in. There's no reason to leave them out. And there's a stalemate for a hot second. And Gabriel is like, he puts his gun down and starts walking, and he's like, I am opening this gate. I will let these people in. You will have to shoot me. And I thought that was that's a great sort of circle for Gabriel to have come through. You know, his introduction to the series was locking out people who needed assistance, and he'll be damned if he'll ever be that person again. And so his final act before, you know, this big moment of aggression or whatever, he will not allow that. So his sort of circle for his character was to go up to the gate to facilitate it being unlocked. There's a couple of other like moments. I mean, Daryl's line of, we ain't the Walking Dead. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, but he got to say the title of the show.
He did.
I love that when movies do that, you know, where it's like, this is a clear and present danger. Oh, that's the title of the movie. You know, I love that stuff. That's always fun.
Yeah. It's to me, though, we already had that moment when Rick said it. It felt kind of, you're kind of stretching it to say it again. I felt like I didn't like the line. I liked the sentiment behind it. They're all trying to say, like, there's one enemy, and it's not the people that are at your gate. It's the monsters that are coming up behind them. We as humans need to pretty much work together to sort of overcome. And if you're fighting the other humans, then you're not winning, anything in the long run. So yeah, I liked the way that sort of came about, our people sort of showing up, them making their case for everything. And then finally, when they're making their little case there, you can see that General Vickers is wavering, and she finally is like, put your guns down. Is this really, because there's a guy at the gate that has a gun to Gabriel's head. And they're all like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? We're fighting each other when we need to be fighting them. And General Vickers finally is like, everybody put your weapons down. And she makes a point where she says, by order of General Mercer. So she basically is like, I'm conceding my authority to General Mercer, and he's back in charge. He hears it, steps forward, places Pamela under arrest, which was great. Crimes against the Commonwealth. High crimes against the Commonwealth. I'm sorry, I said high crimes, which is important because it's not just any old crimes. It's high crimes. That's right. High crimes are more, I don't know, there's something more important about them, I guess. I don't know.
Well, maybe they involve marijuana.
I mean, it's possible. I don't know what they're making the poppy seed, the poppy things to make drugs. There's got to be some hemp somewhere. I'm just saying. Yeah, that'll add to the high crimes if you're high. I'm just saying. So Pamela's got this great moment where she finally really, really looks at, they open the gates, they let all the people in, and then they slam the gates shut, and all the ghouls come to the locked gate, and they're all, the arms are reaching through, and la la la, and she looks right at the front, and she spies in the front, and it's awesome that they followed through and added in the ghoul right in the front is Ghoul Hornsby, and he's still got the
old arrow neck.
Yeah, he's still got the arrow in his neck. I thought that was great. I was really hopeful that they would do that. And I wasn't sure where it would happen. This is the most incredulous place for it to have happened. It's a little convenient that it was him, but since we know they didn't put him down with a headshot, we knew that there was the possibility that existed that he could show up as a ghoul, and I'm glad that they did that. Even though it's absolutely ridiculous that he would be right in the front at the gate, right by Pamela. I still thought it looked awesome, and I'm so glad that they did it. What did you think of Ghoul Hornsby?
Oh, it was great, and yeah, I was right there with you. I'm like, thank God that they brought him back in the final reel, right?
Yeah.
Because it would have. I mean, we kept talking about it, right? Remember we thought maybe he would end up killing Pamela, and he almost did, right?
Yeah.
He was moving in. She was kind of like leaning forward there and exposing that neck, right? It's going like, yeah, maybe this is the way to go out. And so we had even mentioned that wouldn't it be great if Pamela running away from the group who were trying to get her, and she runs smack into Ghoul Hornsby, who takes a big chunk out of her, and so on. But so yeah, I thought he looked great. I thought it was really fun that we get to see him again and kind of close the book on the character of Hornsby. What I thought was really funny though. About the sequence before that is that Mercer, when Vickers finally sort of relents and puts him back in charge, right? He then goes, Pamela Milton, you're under arrest for high crimes against the Commonwealth, and then he lists them, and it's like,
we're aware.
But I thought what I thought was funny was like, it's like, okay, it's like, are they going in like the least damning to the worst, because it's like, you made many people disappear, threaten the lives of thousands of people in the Commonwealth, and then he goes, and you shot a child. And I'm kind of like, really?
He wanted to do the most dramatic one last.
I guess
it fit in his Michael James Shaw, like his amazing velvety voice, and and you shot a child.
But I mean,
it's just very like, that's an awful thing to say, an awful thing to do, but I find you very sexually attractive right now when you're saying these words, and I don't know why. And yeah, there was a very confusing time for me. Very confusing.
So I just thought it was funny, because it's like, okay, but like, wouldn't the, like, putting the 50,000 people, like, sacrificing them, isn't that like a little bit higher on the priority scale? It's almost like, you're accused of genocide and jaywalking. You know what I mean? It's like, really? It's like, maybe you should have led with that one. What do you? So I thought that was just kind of funny. It was a great scene, but just the sequence that just made me chuckle. I was like, yeah, that's funny. So, and I did like that. Gabriel is like, we're opening the gates and letting these people in, and then he keeps moving. He's like, I will kill anyone who tries to stop me.
Yeah. And it's so funny, because it's like they don't know him as Gabriel, like Gabriel the badass. They just see Gabriel as like, he's the preacher. He's literally wearing his preacher outfit, and he was at the pulpit all the way up until like a week ago, and now all of a sudden he's like carrying a machine gun. He's like, I will waste some MFers,
That's
if
right.
you bother
Get
me.
out of my way, people.
Yeah. Yeah, it was for the folks of the Commonwealth, it was probably not what they were expecting.
No, probably not. Yeah. Not a lot of New Testament there. It was very Old Testament.
Very, very Old Testament. Let's talk about the plan to rid all of the ghouls.
Do we have to?
No, because it's so stupid. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. The CGI, the explosion itself was fun.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, it's like, guys, really? This is the plan?
It's another moment of putting a bunch of people together. I mean, in the very least, you got a bunch of guns. Just shoot them all.
Right.
You've got them at the gates. Shoot them all.
Yeah.
And I understand it's a swarm. It's a large group. Or you're lead them away.
Yeah.
Again.
But Mercer said, there's a line in there where Mercer's like, there are too many variants in the swarm for us to lead them away. Like, they're, enough smart ghouls that they won't fall for it. Yet part of their plan is to play the music, which draws them all there anyway. Right. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I mean, I'm just going like, instead of like blowing everything up, why don't you just, like we talked about before, toss some Molotov cocktails amongst the swarm and let them all burn up.
Yeah, and why would you let them in? You burn them outside the gates.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the thing that Ezekiel said, like, this place is worth saving, it is. So you've got actual intact, nice homes. Why would you burn them? It doesn't make any sense. I understand, like, what they're trying to say here. They're making a statement, And I'm just like, it just falls flat to me. Like, they're making a statement about how, people will live in, very similar shelters, and we won't have these crazy mansions and estates. That way is done. And, and I get it. Like, that's, even so much. So they set everything up starting from like Pamela's house, for crying out loud. So I get like they're making this bigger statement, but just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's sort of like, hey, we're eliminating the class system, man, and everybody's going to be equal. But it's not communism. Don't think that's what it is, even though it kind of is if you read the thing. But it's not. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. I got that too, and I got it. I saw it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm right there with you, where I was just like, oh god.
Right. I just felt like there's better things, especially since, like, they pour it all into. First of all, you made the good point. I wasn't even thinking of it. Why would you waste all that fuel?
Yeah.
There's only so much of it, and it's hard
You're
to
gonna
make.
eat it, right?
Yeah, hello. So it's a waste of fuel, which I didn't think of, but yes, and pouring it into the water source and then having it like, because you know that it was all like in that fountain and like whatever.
Right.
We've done this before. We've done that scene before when they did that in Alexandria, when they lit the pond on fire, and they all went, and walked into the pond that was on fire, and they all like, died in the pond. I get that. But I'm like, oh, God, really? Like, this is what we're doing? This is what we saved all of our budget on, is to blow our wad on this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't. In my note, all I put was that they got a tiny pass because of the music that they used. I really love that Living Color song.
Oh yeah.
So So as soon as they put the needle on the record and the song started playing, I was like, okay, this is fine. If it's gonna be a song that's pulling the zombies in, then fine. Make it a really, really, really awesome song. Thank you. And I did like the little attention to detail where they're setting up all these speakers, which, where did they get them? They're setting up all these speakers, and they show Connie laying down on one of the speakers to feel like the rhythm and whatever. And she was like, you could see like the look on her face. It almost looked like she was doing that to sort of get herself pumped for what was to come. That's how I interpreted it. But yeah, great choice of song. Love the little addition of Connie laying on the speaker. Terrible plan.
Yeah.
Terrible plan.
Terrible. Yeah, they did no favors with me when we're seeing like the setup, the kind of the montage of them setting up, and we actually, I feel sorry for Mercer that he actually had to say the line, "We're only going to get one shot at this, people." Oh, I hate that line. That is like one of the most overused action movie lines ever. Right? I mean, it's in everything. And it's just like, nobody talks like that. Nobody.
Yeah.
Mars Blackman had it right. Nobody. I mean, it's just, it's just really bothered me. The only thing other than the song that I liked at all was in Milton's house where the record player was, and that's where the fuse was.
Yep.
If you looked, they like had pictures next to the record player, and it was clearly Lila Robbins had brought in some old photos of her, and they photoshopped them in to look like it's her and Sebastian as a kid, and like her father, and so, and I love it when actors do that. When when we're like, hey, we need to see you when you were like 8, or we need to see you when you were 20 or whatever, and they bring in a real picture of them. Love that. Yeah, I always think that's kind of a fun little thing. It's a nice touch, and I enjoyed that. You kind of get this last shot of the Milton estate, right before the fuse hits, the circuit's completed, and it all explodes. And we see those old photos. So I actually liked that part of it. But yeah, overall, I was just like, oh, kill me now.
Yeah. I also feel like it's a terrible plan to begin with. There's so much setup that's involved. And that's not a very long song. And it looks like the mechanism that they set up was, we're going to play this song. It's going to pull them in to where we need them to. They're going to come up to the speakers. And then when the record player does the thing where it resets and plays the song again, that's how the connection's going to hit, and it'll spark the whatever.
Right. You're right. It's like a 3
not a lot of time.
22-second song. Yeah. And they're driving all over the place and loading up fuel barrels, right? Jerry's like, yep, got the fuel. And then they're setting the fuses, and of course they pour all the fuel into the water supply. That's a really good idea, guys. And that has to take time for it to like get and reach the fountain and be shooting out. I mean, yeah, you're right. If you think about it, it would never ever work in the amount of time we got for this.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah.
And they only got one shot at it, people.
How do you know that? Oh, did they tell you?
They did. They announced it over the radio even. Yeah. Ugh.
That's interesting.
Ugh.
Interesting. Yeah, so that was dumb. But not long after the dumb scene, we did get a really great scene, which I thought was fantastic. So clearly they're victorious. And we get the Maggie Negan scene, which I thought was really cool. The Maggie Negan, the Negan apology was one thing, but this was, I think this was the best scene of the whole finale.
I agree.
And it was because she has wanted to say a version of this to him for the longest time. And yes, I think that there's a little bit of it that helps set up the relationship that they will have in the spinoff, especially when she's like, there's going to be days where I don't want to see you, or I don't want to talk to you. And basically it's like, it's because I don't want to. She's basically saying, you make me think of my husband when he died. And I don't want to remember him that way because I have so many other much better memories. And so there are going to be days where I don't even want to look at you. And basically she's like, you just need to be okay with that because it'll probably never change. But she's also very, gracious. You and Annie have earned your place. You can stay. There's no reason why you should leave, especially since she's, pregnant and all. But the fact that she took the time to talk about Glenn in that way was so surprising. I just did not expect that. I really thought that she was going to have a confrontational moment with Negan at some point, but it was going to be all about her and how her feelings were. And she didn't. She made him feel probably worse, but that's fine. He deserves it. But by doing it, she wasn't talking about the present day stuff. She was talking about who he was. When as soon as she said Glenn was beautiful, I was like, oh, this is not going to be the scene I thought it was going to be. It's going to be about 10 times better. And it was probably one of the best. It was probably the best written scene of this portion of the season, for sure. I think it addressed how Maggie has felt around Negan, that it's a struggle because she admitted it. You saved my boy. And I'm always grateful for that. But I'll never be able to be 100% because of these things. And I got to tell you why. It's not that you took away my husband. It's that you were brutal, that moment. And oh God, when she said it, when she's like, the bat, all I see is the bat. And then she's like, and you mocked him when he was dying. And I was like, that's right. He did. He totally did. And yeah, I can't say enough about the scene, but obviously we've been going on and on about so much stuff. I want to make sure you get your thoughts in there too. But what did you think about the scene and how it sort of played?
Oh, I really liked it. The only thing, and for all the reasons you outlined, I agree. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was Maggie's chance to kind of say what she's like didn't want to say but had to say. Yeah. If that makes sense, right? Like she didn't want to give Negan, she didn't want to give him the respect of telling him what she really feels about him, even though in order for her to move on, she had to. Yeah. Kind of a thing. It was great. And they nailed it. And they're really good. The only nit I would pick is this scene would have been so much better if we didn't already see this scene last episode. Because essentially this is the Ezekiel Negan scene again. Right. Where basically one of our main people that suffered greatly to what Negan did is basically telling him, I still hate you. I will never be your friend. I will never want to take long walks with you, but I can imagine a world with you in it now.
Yes.
Right. And that
Yeah.
and that's what we got. And that's the only nit that I'm picking at all. And it's nothing against these two actors because they don't write this. They got to say what they got to say. And they were really good in it. It's just it's like, I've heard a lot of this before. Like last week I heard this. That's it. That's the only thing. But again, like I said, this is the last stop on the Negan apology tour. So it makes sense, right? That he has to clear the air or try to clear the air with the people that he's wronged the most. I'm really surprised that he never tried to do anything with Rosita for Abraham, right?
Yeah.
Although I guess at that point Abraham was probably more with Sasha at that point, right?
She was, and I think, and I don't think he didn't really have an opportunity to sort of do anything with Sasha because she
had to go join Star Trek.
She did. Well, she had to join Star Trek, but before she joined Star Trek, then she was like the, Deus Ex Machina, like zombie that came out of
the out of the cake.
Yeah, exactly. If you will.
Yeah,
zombie
right.
out of the cake. But yeah, there's a couple of people he could have had moments with, but I think I agree with you. I love these two different scenes, and you're right. There's a lot of similarities to them both.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it didn't bother me that they were so close together. But I can understand how that could bother someone. So yeah.
Yeah. And again, that was kind of my note was, more of the Negan and Ezekiel scene from last week. But then I added, I loved it because I did.
Yeah.
I thought when Maggie said something like, I never want my son to see anyone have that kind of hold over me.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really, really killer line.
Yeah. Very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Lauren Cohen, she definitely delivered the mail in that scene because she is really, really good. And Negan, JDM, it's much more just reacting because I don't really think he says much in that scene. I think that's mostly Maggie talking to Negan. Negan is, agreeing, nodding, and, giving, reacting to it, but he doesn't actually say too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, a lovely scene. It was clearly, it just in a vacuum, not looking at last week, this was the best scene of the whole episode, without a doubt.
Without a doubt,
it's just like I said, it was a little too close to the really great scene in last week's episode. So
yeah, I can see that.
I think too. I wanted just this was another little weird thing that popped into my head was before we get to the big apology and the big dinner sequence that happens, because that's what you do after you blow up 1,000 zombies. Do you try and clean up, put out the fires? Now let's go have dinner. But anyway,
absolutely.
Yeah. My thought was, okay, there was what, like 100 people outside those gates, maybe,
give or take.
Yes. Okay, well, let's just say 100 just to make the math easy, because I'm not a math guy. There are like 50,000 people in the Commonwealth, right?
Yeah. So, where do you think those people are?
Yeah, it's like okay, there are like 49,900 other people in the Commonwealth that are probably getting eaten right now, guys. Are we gonna worry about them at all? Hello? Anyone?
Hello.
I mean, and it's like they're whistling in the graveyard. Nobody even. Nope, not a concern. And even in the flash forward part where Ezekiel's making the speech, there's only like 100 people listening to him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little odd that they didn't. They went to great lengths to tell us, the audience, how big the Commonwealth is multiple times, right?
Yeah.
Remember Mercer, or not Mercer, but Hornsby, when he's talking to Daryl and Carol, and he's like, well, what are you going to do when Pamela's gone? Because there's 50,000 people. 50 8,000 people are in the Commonwealth. They have to have someone to lead them, right? So I mean, they've been hitting us over the head with it, and yet here in this episode, it's just like, yeah, whatever. They'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
so I thought that was just a little nit that I kind of was like, I'm gonna let it go, but that was something. So, but anyway, so now we finish with Negan and Maggie, and then we go to well, obviously it's dinner time. Let's eat.
Yeah, it definitely. It was weird because I was the first shot they gave of like the food on the tables and stuff. It had a real Thanksgiving vibe.
Did it? I thought the same thing.
and we're like, if you're listening and you're not from the States, like we are mere hours away from American Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
And so it was just funny. I think ultimately it was chicken, but it looked like turkey, potatoes, and I was like, are they having Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah, that was my friend. Like, really? This is when this is happening? Okay.
And then it becomes clear that they clearly just were in one of. Now here's the thing: if they blew up the States, where are they?
I know. Good question. Don't ask it. Your brain's gonna hurt.
Yeah. It's a big, nice house, and they obviously raided the fridge. Like, to me, it looks like to the victor, here are the spoils. And it's like, well, hello, where would they be? Anyway, so let's not pull that thread. So anyway, so they're all sitting around the table. It's a nice callback to the dream dinner that Rick had a couple seasons back. And so it's nice to see it sort of come to fruition, like instead of a dream dinner, they had a real one. And so they're all sitting around the table, they raise a glass to Luke, which was really cute. I'm sure they're like, to Luke. And Mercer was like, to who?
Yeah.
And Princess is like, who's this Luke person?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I mean, I'll drink some wine. Give me some wine, but I don't know. They seem really broken up about this dude, but I've never seen him.
Yeah.
So they have their moments there.
We have a dog sighting.
Yeah. So dog made it.
Yeah,
that's good.
Which is I saw in the wiki, they said it's the first appearance of dog since like 14 or 15. Yeah. So, dog's just hanging out somewhere. I don't the Commonwealth kennel, I guess. I don't know where he was, but he's okay.
He was just roaming. You can't fence that dog in.
You can't.
He's got a heart and a soul that needs to wander, just like right. Daryl.
But he's not going with Daryl to France, so,
No. Well, because you can't get it's hard. You've got to quarantine pets as they come into another country.
Yeah, but he could be like a support dog or something, right? Then they gotta let him in. Yeah,
it's an emotional support dog.
Right.
It's possible.
And also, I was going to point out that sadly we never got to hear Gracie blow the whistle and get eaten.
I'm actually. I had thought about that, and I'm really pissed off that didn't. They made such a big deal out of it, and it just never had, because she didn't blow the whistle when they were down in the basement that time, did she?
I was gonna ask you that because I thought she did, and he didn't hear her. Or no, he did hear her, but I don't know. Maybe Lydia heard her. I can't remember. I'd have to go back. I can't remember
the circumstances, but I remember that it wasn't nearly the full portion of that we thought it would be.
Yes.
And I was like, this is going to come back and haunt them later.
Yes.
And it didn't.
Right. Right. I'm like, okay.
Damn you, Angela.
That's right.
So dinner scene sort of breaks apart. They're all sort of standing around the kitchen, and Rosita's at the table by herself, just sort of sitting there. And Gabriel comes over, and this is a really great scene. And Gabriel comes over and asks how she's doing, and she's like, I'm fine. And she's like, I'm just soaking it all in. And there was a way she said it that sounded like she was, like she was leaving. Like, I'm going to go on a trip, and I just want to observe everything before I leave.
Time I'm going to have all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, she was definitely very, she's reminiscing and feeling very nostalgic and yada yada. And he caught it and he looked at her kind of funny, and she leans over and she whispers in his ear, and so we don't hear what she said to him exactly. And he just puts his hand over her hand, and then she puts her hand on his, and they're just like sitting there looking at each other, and she's crying a little. She wipes a tear, and he's upset but doesn't want to like reveal to the group or whatever. And then they turn the camera to Judith, and she is watching what's happening, and she gets it. Something's wrong with Rosita. And she basically, like, you can see her sort of sit up a little taller because she like, oh my God, something's wrong. And then they sort of transition out of that into the next thing, which is her long ass death scene.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But before that, I have to say, wow, does it not look like Magna is one hell of a kisser?
Probably.
Oh,
I don't know. We'll never find out.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, she lays one on Yumiko. Yumiko is like starting with the, I'm sorry, and we never should have, and she never even gets to finish what she's saying.
Oh no,
she just plants one on her, and I'm like, damn, Nadia Hilker, you go, girl.
I thought it was great because I think Yumiko was just getting ready to launch into a speech we've heard a million times. Mm-hmm. And Magna's like, no words, actions, please.
Yes, that's right.
I felt like it was a deserved scene. I feel like in the last, few episodes or so, you could see them getting close again, depending on each other more and more, trusting each other more. And you could see that there was some stuff there. So the fact that, they're like, listen, it was basically going to be like a life is short. I miss you and I love you. And Magna basically said exactly the same thing, but with her mouth.
Yes.
And her tongue, awesome. Apparently.
Yes. And then we also got that one little moment, which I thought was about as emotional as Daryl can be, when he looks out the window and Negan is not at the dinner, right? He's not with everybody because, they all hate him. And, Daryl looks down and sees him. Negan sees Daryl and they make eye contact, and Daryl gives him just a teeny little nod of the head.
Yeah.
And again, I the kind of the what Angela Kang has decided with the whole Negan redemption thing is that none of these people are going to be best friends with him, but they've all decided that, what, he can be here. You know, and that's okay. Which, for what he did, that's a lot.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But and again, I thought it was really great because, Daryl is not the great orator anyway. and so this was with a nod of the head like that. That's all we're like, we get it. We know. Okay, Daryl, you're good. I mean, they couldn't have come up with a line that would have been better. So
yeah, exactly.
And I kind of like that JDM kind of smiled when he saw it and just kept on going. I thought that was kind of a nice little way for those two characters to kind of have their last moment together. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I did like that too. And like you said, it was one of those moments that more shows should do, is everything that needed to be said was said in a gesture, and we didn't, they saved like 3 pages of dialogue by just doing like a nod. That's it. That's all he needed.
And it was great.
Yeah. And it was everything that Maggie said it too. Like you belong here. You've earned your place. Mm-hmm. No one's going to be your bestie, but it doesn't mean we would never be like, Negan can't stay here. You can stay here and you've earned it. And we acknowledge that, but we're not going to go have beers.
Yeah. No. It's like we will tolerate you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next scene was tragic and sad and long, and it was nicely put together. The Rosita's sort of death scene. I thought that it was nice that there was a chance for sort of everybody got their chance to say goodbye, because it was sort of the long drawn out, laying on the bed, and people come in and it's a little at a time, and she gets to hug this person, that person, and whatever. So it's not the death that Luke got with everybody screaming around you. She's lucky, she got to have these precious moments with Coco, and sort of like she said to Eugene, she's like, she wanted to fill herself up with her, before she sort of revealed she was dying. She was like, I want to get my brain full of her memories, before I'm gone,
Right. Yeah.
So, and it was her and Eugene, when she went, seemed apropos. I just felt like it was a little long. I was confused on the timeline too, because, and you made a point of it too, I was like, when they first showed everybody around the table and then they stepped away and they made a point of like, oh, and here's Rosita drinking wine. I was like, is she fine? Did they like cut out the bite or something? Yeah. She looked pretty,
Well, yeah, my comment was, I think we need to, like, Angela Kang, we need to, like, go over what are the, like, show rules for what happens when you get bit. Because, I mean, like, remember Jim way back in, like, season 1 where, he got bit and then, like, he got the massive fever and he was sweating buckets and they were trying to move him in the RV and he eventually is like, just leave me somewhere because every bump, my bones feel like they're glass and they're going to, I mean, all of these extremely painful, violent reaction, right? And you get this fever that like burns you out, right? And that I mean, that's how they established the show. Rosita had none of that. I mean, they didn't even like make her face sweaty, right? I mean, it's just like, come on, what's going on here? And the other thing is she died in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, in previous cases, like, people last for days before they finally give out. You know what I mean? It's not a quick silent killer. Like, so again, I get it. They only got one episode and they got to do it. But I was just like, wow, this is totally not what we've seen before, how this works.
Yeah. I mean, her bite was very similar to Carl's bite, I would say. And Carl, even like after like a few hours or so, he was a little sweaty and a little, but there was so much going on. He was able to sort of like go under the radar. But, and I can see the same for Rosita. She would have probably gone under the radar as well. But how much time passed from that daytime scene where she got bit, and then they, did all of this fighting and all this exertion and whatever, and then it's nighttime and they're doing their thing and they get Pamela to surrender and all this other stuff,
right? Yeah.
And then they go and make dinner somewhere. It's been at least a day, and if memory serves, Carl was gone after like 2 days, 3 days, maybe tops.
Yeah.
And he was definitely showing the effects of it after about a day.
Right.
He was like falling down and all of that. It was, I don't know. Yeah. I agree with you. And she didn't even look like she was sick. Not until like right before she like started to like close her eyes a little bit more. I was like, did they change her makeup? Because she's starting to look a little more gray. Like her face started to lose some color and whatever.
But it was very subtle.
Yeah, very subtle.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, like again, my cold dead heart. When I saw that scene, one of the things I actually thought was because Coco was like lying next to her on the bed, and I'm like, are they leaving her a snack?
I had that thought at first too. I was like, should she be left alone with her small delectable child.
Yes, we all know that children are delicious, but come on. I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was yeah. I again, I think, you summed it up right, that it was just way too long.
Yeah.
And I get it. They want it to be emotional and we want to feel it and it's sad and all that. But it's like, this is the last episode. We're wasting, 3, 4, 5 minutes of story time with this that we already know what's going to happen. Right.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, Rosita was she a core character? I mean, she came into the show. What season was that? 3?
So I think it was. I thought it said 5, but maybe it was 3.
Because I'm thinking it was, because it was post. You're right. It's 5.
It was after the farm, and then I don't think they were ever at the prison. I think they showed up.
They were never at the prison, and they were never a part of the governor stuff. They were actually fleeing the prison, and they were all trying to meet up again, and that's when they came upon them. Okay. So. Yeah.
So season 5, maybe season 6.
Yeah. So 5-ish, you can say. Okay. But like, she was always like I mean, I hate to say a side character, but she was always like a side character and off to the side character. And as people started like, dying and leaving the show and stuff, she's, there's a little bit more and more prominence, especially since the length of time she was there just grew and grew and grew. And she's had so many great scenes through the years. If you think back to when she had to fight a zombie, what was the doctor's name? The one who's her baby daddy.
Oh, Sadiq.
Sadiq, thank you.
Wow.
I know, right?
I cannot believe that just happened.
You guys need to mark this down in for the head history.
Diana did not know the name of a character, and Steve immediately did. Holy cow, where are we?
Jeez, are we even recording right now? Could we? Are we dead and we're in a coma right now?
I think we're with Rosie.
Yeah, obviously. So she's had some great scenes through the years, but to me, there was something about her character that just never resonated with me. So like, as the years went by, and as soon as like she got the Selena show and people were like, oh, she's dead, I'm like, whatever. Because by that time we had so many characters, and we needed to lose a few here and there. There just wasn't the same kind of oomph to her death scene that I think there would have been for me, at least, if there was a different character involved. Kind of the same how I felt with Luke. At least I felt like Luke's death was a lot more brutal and a little more honest. And I didn't, I thought hers was a little more like, oh, come on, we're on this beautiful bed and there's a light shining in and my baby and everything's pretty and nice and which never happens for anybody. So I was like, it felt a little contrived and it was long. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Rosita gone. She gone. But it was.
Oh, we never see her get put down.
No, we don't. We just have to assume it happens, I think. The one thing it did give, though, because the room was very well lit, it was very bright, sunny day or whatever, it gave them a really easy transition to like sort of go really bright and then come back, and it's the time jump, the 1 year later. So because it was already a brightly lit scene, it was like something they could sort of transition out of a lot simpler. So Rosita gone, and now it's 1 year later.
And yeah, now we finally get our time jump, although not exactly what we were anticipating.
No, it's a lot way smaller than I thought it was going to be. And I feel like a year for some of the stuff they had to wrap up at the end, I feel like a year is almost too long to sort of wrap up like the Maggie stuff, the Daryl stuff and whatever to like sort of send it off into like spin-off land. It feels like a year is too long that has passed since the Pamela stuff. So I don't know. I was really hoping that we would get a glimpse of something like 10 years down the road. And then they talk. What if they did that and they talk about all of the things that we see? You know what I mean? Like if it's adult Judith and she's telling the story of, and after Pamela was brought to prison, Ezekiel became the governor and he helped bring everybody back together again and da da da. You know what I mean? You could have given all that same information and still had it be like a flash forward 10 years from now kind of thing. So I don't know.
The only thing I can think is that they have so many spin-off shows they got to kick off.
Yeah.
That they just couldn't do that.
Yeah.
We had to go forward far enough that, okay, they've rebuilt the Commonwealth and, new leadership and everything's great.
Yeah.
Right. And now we can get on, this story is pretty much over. And now we can get on to the spin-offs. And right. So, and we get it, right? Because, what does Maggie say? It's about time we get out there and start exploring.
Yeah.
Negan, what are you doing for the next 6 weeks? Yeah. And then Daryl, right, shows up and, Connie's like, hey, cowboy, what's the frontier like out there? And, he's like quiet. And then he tells Judith, hey, I'm going to go out and look, and if I find him, I'm going to bring him back home. Right. So we're setting him up, too. And I just think they if they would have gone 10 years, 15 years in the future and we see Judith and she's like 25 or something.
Yeah.
Then we can't say, oh, and Daryl went off to look for Rick and Maggie and Negan went off to, go to New York. We would have to say what happened to them because obviously they would know.
They would, but they could have been like, but that'll be a story for another day.
Oh, God.
And then, I know. Terrible.
We're only going to get one shot at this, people.
Only going to get one shot. There's only one shot. I get it. Well, to me, the main points of the 1 year later time jump is, like we said, we got the Governor Ezekiel, Governor, and then Lieutenant Governor Mercer. We do have baby Rosie. So clearly right after Rosita died, Eugene got Max pregnant pretty much.
Well, when if we jump back to the scene where Eugene is talking about, taking Coco swimming, right? He right before he kind of guesses, oh my God, were you bit? He is just about to tell her, I think, that Max is preggers.
I suspected that as well, that it might be.
That's what I took from that.
Yeah.
That he's just about ready to say, like, isn't this going to be great? Because then Coco and our little baby will be able to grow up together. No, and then the fact, like you said, that she's not really answering any of his, like, isn't it going to be great, when we go swimming? And, I've done all the research and swimming promotes good, coordination and cognitive dissonance, all this stuff. And she's just like, And finally he's like, and guess what? And then he stops and he's like, were you? And then she kind of, pulls her shirt back a little to kind of, we see just the little bit. So that was my guess. It was like right there, he was going to spill the beans on that. And then when he realized, oh my God, you're going to be gone, just horrifying. Right. And so that got tabled. But that was my guess. But either way, you're right. Somehow in the year, he and Max got a little busy. And now we
as
have.
It were.
Yes, and now we have what is it, baby Rosita? Is that what he named her?
He was calling her Rosie.
Rosie,
so
okay.
She's either Rosie or Rosita, I'm not sure what her Christian name is, but they were calling her Rosie.
What would her Christian Serrato's name be?
I don't know. But you want a fun fact about baby Rosie?
Sure.
It's not even a girl, but it is the baby of someone from The Walking Dead. So
no, really?
It's a cast member's child. It is. They talked about it in the post-show thing, the Talking Dead thing. It's Kari Payton had just had a child, I guess, which I did not know, but it's his child, his son.
I love it. Give
played
him the SAG card.
I know. But he had no lines, so he just went burble, bleh. Yeah. So, all right, so Governor Ezekiel, Baby Rosie, we did get Maggie saying, you know, there's things to see. I want to explore and go out there. So clearly we're setting up our spinoff. And then we got Daryl, who comes, like you're saying, he came back and he's obviously being called a cowboy and he's out on the quote unquote frontier. But it seems like he's been doing that kind of on a small scale, but it looks like he's going to expand and do something bigger. It looks like clearly RJ and Judith are I put listen, that's the wrong word. RJ and Judith are living with Ezekiel and Carol. That's the sense I got from it, is that Ezekiel and Carol are their new caregivers. Yeah. Well, she doesn't have any children left to kill, so it's, you know, and Judith is very resilient. So basically I'd say RJ, be careful, because Carol doesn't have a good track record.
Well, she does, but she doesn't. You know, it's she's pretty good on the discipline part, not so much on the like keeping them alive part.
Right. But hopefully, you know, this is the future, and it look like there's less, you know, walkers out there that they have to contend with. So, you know, maybe it's a non-issue. And, you know, RJ's a year older, and he's going to be starting to learn his own life skills, I hope. So hopefully it's not going to be an issue. Plus, you know, Judith is going to help raise him as well. So there's that. Yeah. So, and then you get the final Daryl and Carol scene, which was clearly a pickup that was put in after Carol, after Melissa McBride decided she didn't want to do the spinoff series. They clearly had to add this scene in, and so
sure wish you were coming with me.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there was more said in that scene about Norman and Melissa than there was about Daryl and Carol.
You think?
To me, that's how that whole scene felt. It was, I'm leaving to go do a thing. I wish you were coming with me. I wish I was too. I can't. And he's like, you've done really good things, because the word on the street is she's going to be caring for, like, she's got some sick family members and doesn't want to be tied down to like one location for a period of time. She needs the freedom to be able to see and take care of her people. So he's basically like, you know, you it's a tough job, but you're doing great at it and whatever, and you're taking care of the kids and all of that. And so it's like, you're doing these responsible things. I'm going to go have fun. I really wish you were coming, and really, I know, and you're my best friend, and da-da-da-da. And I just felt like it was a very Norman Melissa scene, not a Daryl Carol scene. Mm-hmm. You know, masquerading as a Daryl and Carol scene, if you were. But definitely the big part of that whole scene is, you know, the shippers are going to have this for the rest of their lives. It's the I love you that was heard around the world. But again, I still feel like a lot of that was very Norman Melissa, not necessarily Daryl and Carol, I love you. But I also feel that it shows Daryl coming to a point in his life where saying I love you is something that's important to him, and it doesn't mean that he loves her as a life partner, but
it's platonic love.
Well, it's his best friend. He agrees. That's his best friend in the whole world. You know,
the great part about it is, and if you watch the little bonus featurette, they talked about it. That actually was not scripted. That was just the two of them talking, and they just like happened to be rolling the camera at that point. So, and Angela Kang went, you know, that's pretty good. Let's use that. So I mean, that is the history of that. And that is completely true, people.
Yeah. So we get our time jump. We get Daryl and Carol scene, which was probably the most pivotal part of that whole epilogue there. And, you know, Daryl goes off into the sunset, as it were, although the sun's shining. I
Beautiful
was very
day.
It was a beautiful day. It was so beautiful, and the light was shining so nicely. It was very easy to tell. I was like, oh, look, there's Greg Nicotero.
There's Greg Nicotero. Yeah, I was too. I'm like, oh, there he is.
It was the hair. It was the hair that did it.
It is. It's that hippy dippy hair he's got, because it goes down, past his shoulders.
I mean, yeah, he's got quite the mane of hair.
He does.
But I'm glad that they did it, and he made a point on the post show thing to say Daryl's very first scene in The Walking Dead is when there's the deer that they find in the woods, but there's some ghouls already eating it. And Daryl puts down the ghoul to be like, oh, my deer, you got my deer, or whatever that scene was. And
go now.
That one of the zombie that was eating the deer was Greg Nicotero.
So it's like the first school he meets and the last. Yeah.
Yes, and Greg even said that it was so quick. They literally they were on a lunch break and they threw some makeup on him and did him up during the lunch break, and they came back and filmed, because he's directing too.
Right.
So he's like during his lunch break, and they're like putting the stuff on him, and he just is there when he drives by, and I'm like, it's perfect. It's perfect for him to leave. But as he's driving away, I was like, as this, like it starts to fade, the scene is like gets brighter and brighter, like, and I was like, oh my God, this is the end of the episode. That's going to be our final moment, is just Daryl driving away. I was so mad that was going to be the way they ended the episode. But then it wasn't.
But then it was not, no.
And then we got, like, instead of the 1 year later epilogue, now we got like the epilogue. And I mean, I made some notes here, but what did you think of the Rick and Michonne stuff?
I was expecting something. Remember, I asked you about it, and I wanted to get your take on it. I almost kind of wish they wouldn't have put that on there. I mean, I understand, they had to get the montage. We had to see everybody. We had to have everyone say, we are the ones that lived and all that. And,
yeah.
It brings a tear to your eye. I mean, for people that have a heart, it did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, does it not look to you like Michonne was clippity-cloppeting off to imminent doom because there was like 8,000 billion ghouls in the valley she's riding into on her horse? And I'm like, isn't that what Rick did in Atlanta? It didn't work out for him too well.
No, he ended up blowing up a bridge, and something happened.
But so yeah, I mean, it was neat to kind of see them, but I think in my heart of hearts I would have rather preferred not, and we just get their series. What did you think?
I liked it. I liked it better the second time through because I had a little bit better sense of the chronology, because it's a little confusing to sort of figure out where are they, what's happening here. At first it's like, are they talking to each other? And you're like, oh no, he's talking to her, she's talking to the kids. And it's not until he tosses the backpack that I really was like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it.
Because they both had the phones, so you knew that clearly they were not in the same time.
I yes, but it was, you're watching the episode the first time through. Sometimes you don't catch all of those details. Yeah. So the toss of the backpack, I was like, okay, I get it. This is his scene where he's running away. He tosses the backpack. She gets that backpack. So his scene is like a flashback. Hers is a flash, like, current. I don't know. Flash forward, you would have to say, because
it's more current than his scene.
For sure. But it's obvious based on her outfit that she ended up connecting with the horse people, the people that she ran into when she had her final episode there.
Right.
So she obviously must be a part of that group, or even a tangent part of that group. So I liked once I understood what was going on, I liked that they were sort of parallel stories, but took place at different times.
Mhm.
I put, obviously Michonne, clearly she spent time with the horse people. And also I liked the little additions they put in there. Rick obviously worked at some kind of culling facility like Silas did in the World Beyond, because the jacket is exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
And even if you didn't catch the similarity with the jacket, you got to see the CRM logo. But there's also the stick he had was one that they used, that they developed for it almost it literally looks like a tool that I use at my house for tilling in the garden. So it's got like that head with the twisted there, and they use that, and it just like pops the ghouls' heads. But the stick is exactly like the one that Silas was using on World Beyond. So I thought that was really interesting. It makes me actually, to a degree, it makes me want to go back and watch some more before the Rick and Michonne series come out. I might have to rewatch a couple of World Beyond episodes just to sort of get like some of the Civic Republic mythology like back in my brain again.
Sure.
Because they're not going to cover that shit on Fear. Forget about it. Yeah,
you don't think so?
That ship has sailed, literally and figuratively.
You don't think with the knuckleheads in charge, they will want to revisit the old CRM connection?
No, not at all. I don't think they're a fan of revisiting anything.
So Maggie Grace will not be coming back? Is that what you're saying?
I think she ran screaming from that
show.
Yes,
I agree.
Yeah.
She took Sydney Lemon with her.
Yeah, sadly. There's a rumor online, and I haven't seen any sort of backup for it, but a lot of people are saying that the voice on the loudspeaker that's talking to Rick, people are saying that it sounds like Giancarlo Esposito. I listened to it. It could be him, but it wasn't enough like his voice to make me go, oh, it's definitely him. I'm just saying it could be him. It sounded enough like him to make me go, it could be him. But I can't say for sure. I don't know. And
I read that note that you had put in there, and I'm like, really? That was supposed to be him? So I went back and I listened to it, and I think the first line that the loudspeakers gives, it sounds like it could be him.
Okay.
But the second line, when they say, come on, Rick, she told you could never get away, whatever it was, it does not sound like him. So I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Unless it's two people using the microphone, who the hell knows? But it's so my feelings on it. I liked it. I thought it was a little bit too much to give. I was expecting a little less. And I agree. The whole like showing the montage of everybody, it didn't need to happen. I think just him saying some of those words would have been enough. Him saying, I think about the dead all the time. That's a really profound thing to say. And you don't need to see all those faces. We know all those faces. I don't know. I felt like that wasn't necessary. I thought it was a little bit longer than I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be like a little, like 1 or 2 minutes, like peep, that's it, and they're done. It did. So it went on a little longer than I was expecting it to. I liked getting some more details. I love a good mystery. I do like when things tie together in certain ways.
You do.
So I liked the when they very first started talking about the Rick Grimes movies, they released some teaser piece that had a skyline in it. That's the skyline that was behind him. And then and I'm not saying, I don't think they knew then that they were going to be doing this scene, but I'm saying that they like stuck with that detail. So a lot of people say it looks like Philadelphia. I don't know. Okay. I'd have to look at that to know. It's close enough to New York to be Civic Republic adjacent, which I'm fine with. Because that would put it in Civic Republic, but not necessarily in exactly the same world that World Beyond was in. It could just be something related to it.
Sure.
I don't know. but I loved the helicopter. I loved that he had the jacket and the stick. I love that he was attempting to run away and got caught. And the tone with the people, it sounded like this probably wasn't his first time where he tried this, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, and he keeps saying, like, I keep trying to get back to you. So obviously there's got to be some, because we've been saying, like, what would keep Rick from seeing his family?
Right. Yeah.
If he keeps trying to escape and he can't, that's a possibility.
Yeah, but you think that he would keep escaping until they kill him, right?
Yeah.
Until he dies in the attempt, right? I mean, nothing would be.
Yeah, you would think, but I'm wondering if that's like when he connects with Michonne, is when he's finally given up. He's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't even know if my family is still alive, and I might as well just die or whatever. That might be what they're doing. But I also liked. No, go ahead.
I just said maybe.
Yeah. And I liked seeing Michonne again. Michonne has always been one of my favorite characters, so I loved having her back. The outfit was awesome. It totally looked like, it was very, like, it felt like, I heard someone online say, they were like, did she just come in and do like a little pickup while she was in the middle of filming Wakanda Forever? I mean, is that possible? So but I still thought it looked great. She looked like a warrior, which she always did before. So it was very Michonne appropriate. I really liked it. It made me more interested in the in their spinoff. I was already interested, but now I'm a little bit more interested. So I guess there's that.
Okay.
Yeah, the last thing I want to sort of my last notes I have are not even the episode itself, but you watched on the app, didn't you?
Yeah, so I missed all the commercials.
Yeah, so they did these great commercials, which I think, if I've got the story correct, Ryan Reynolds helped put these commercials together. He's involved with some of this. Like, I think the Mountain Software one, I think that's a company he either owns or is part owner of. But they put together all of these commercials, and it's for real sponsors. So it's DoorDash and Autodesk, Ring Doorbell, Deloitte, which is a financial company. And they literally did these commercials with people from The Walking Dead that have died, and they are all done up as zombies. You should find, if you haven't seen them, there's links
they gotta be
on
YouTube or something.
Yeah. So the first one is a DoorDash one with Rodney, who was one of the he was the young kid from the hilltop who was put on the pikes. It's hilarious. That was so funny. But I honestly, and they did one with this company called Autodesk, and it's Milton from The Governor. And then they did this Ring Doorbell one, and it's Gareth from the Termites. That was probably my favorite one. I really wish we could have gotten a little bit more time with Gareth. He was such a great bad guy. Great big bad. And then the Deloitte commercial with which I thought was great because it was Andrea, but she was in this sort of like because she was a lawyer on the show. And so here she is in this like sort of banker kind of financial advisor sort of thing or whatever. And she's in a suit and whatever. It was really great. And then the last one is this Mountain Software one, and Andrea's in it again, but she gets a good dig in at Ryan Reynolds at the end of the commercial. They're hilarious. It was such a nice touch to have the sponsors be involved with it. I just thought it was a nice little like icing on the cake of a finale night, which I thought was really great. Yeah. Is there anything that we talked about? Did we skip over anything? I thought we did good with your going back and covering some of your stuff. Did we miss anything?
Well, we missed Negan's note to Judith.
Oh yeah.
When he returns the compass, which is the last thing we get from Negan. So I'm wondering, does that mean that he and Annie moved on? You know, I mean, clearly he has to go with Maggie, so he can't be far away. But I thought that was an interesting point. You know, just to be like, well, what happened with that? You know,
Yeah.
did he have the kid? I mean, is he a father now? It's a year later. I mean, you'd think
You would
so,
think
but
so.
we never got any resolution on that. We never got any resolution on Virgil, so he's still out there in the ether somewhere.
Yep.
As far as the flashbacks and stuff, I agree with you. I love the armor. I love that the horse was wearing leather armor.
Yeah.
And again, the only thing that bugged me about her story was, I mean, she's like literally, galloping down into this valley where there's like 10,000 zombies. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
That was weird. And then with the Rick stuff, I really thought the effect of the ghoul heads in the sand was really creepy and cool. That they're just like staring up, going, you know what I mean? And he, of course, is in bare feet. And I'm like, dude, watch where you're walking, and then the other thing that I thought was really cool to kind of bookend the whole series is that in episode 1, Rick kills the little girl ghoul right away at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's the first ghoul we see get killed. And then at the very end of the very last episode, Rick smashes one of the ghoul heads in the sand and kills it. So he kills the first ghoul and the last ghoul. And I thought that was kind of a nice way to bookend the whole series. So that was fun.
Yeah. I completely agree. I thought that was the stuff that I was happy with. I thought that some of those were some of the fan servicey, like, closing the loops and circles of things and callbacks to this first season, the first few seasons. I thought that those were the fan servicey things that they did that weren't, that didn't feel like they were forced. They felt natural and it felt right, for some of those things. And and that Rick moment was really where he kills the ghoul is definitely one of them. And notice too, like it's I noticed on the second watch, like as the light fades away and that's it, the episode's over. Rick grins a little bit.
He smiles,
smiling as the light fades out. So I thought that was a nice little touch. So I hope when we get to the Rick and Michonne series that like hopefully we'll go right back to that scene right where it left off.
Possible.
Yeah,
we'll see. You never know.
You never know. So we don't have anything else to cover for the actual episode itself?
No, just, way too much happy ending for me, for my tastes. I would have much preferred if, they just went completely dark side and, 86 to like 80% of the cast. And then you have the survivors, whoever's left, Judith and Maggie and Daryl and Negan, because those people have to live, and maybe Carol or whoever's left, a very, very small handful, like on 5 or 6 characters, and they're gonna start over somewhere, and that's how the show ends, with where it's like they're not dead, they're not in a great position, but they're still alive, and they have the hope of maybe we can start over and make it work. That would have been my preferred ending if they weren't just going to kill everyone. But, whatever. It is what it is. Like we said, wasn't the worst one. It wasn't the best one. It was pretty good.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to put it. Is not as fantastical as we probably kind of, and the thing is we should know better with series finales. We've been burned in the past. So I tried really hard to have low expectations. But there's that.
Yeah, it's like I said, I mean, I knew right away, like, episode 7 of the show, I said, whenever they end this, if they don't get canceled, it'll never end the way that would make me completely happy, because no one will do that, because no one is as dark as I am, that is in a position of authority at a network. So,
yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find a series finale that made everybody happy, or
Yeah.
even just like ones that satisfied you, that you feel like hit all of the spots that they should have. It's
Right,
hard
yeah.
to do. It's
Yeah, it
really
is.
hard to do.
It really is, because every fan has the little piece of whatever it is that is their jam, that they love, that is the one thing. Oh my God, this is why I love this show. And
Yeah.
it's hard to hit all those. It really is. So yeah. But again, like we said, pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty good. More good than bad, I would say. There's more good than bad. Yeah. So that's that. We're gonna go take a nap, people.
That's right.
And
Part 2 will begin tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. We're gonna take a quick break, take a nap, go to the bathroom, maybe eat a few meals. When we come back, we're gonna discuss our listener feedback and what's coming up next on the podcast.
So stick around. I know it's hard, but try, because we'll be right back.
Hey there, Internet. Do you like scary movies? What about going way off the rails while discussing your favorites, like Nightmare on Elm Street?
Can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you look
Can you
fine.
see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't
Are
see
you
a
okay,
thing.
Summer?
Tell us what you're seeing.
Friday the 13th. She's like, you're driving this whole thing, so it's like you're either gonna steer us to safety or you're gonna careen us all up to our death.
Either way,
I
I'm
can
fine
see
with
Summer
it.
doing a barrel roll out of a car now.
I know. Down a cliff, down some fields.
Halloween.
Exactly. Tom. And that mustache and that butt.
Oh my God.
And more. Trust me when I say that there's no movie that we can't derail right off the cliff. So come check out the Dolls of Horror podcast with your hosts, Girl on Gore Jamie and Summer of Fear. And me, producer Jesse, as we tackle all the horror movies, both new and old, and hopefully give you a laugh or two along the way. The Dolls of Horror is available on all podcast streaming services, including Apple and Spotify. Visit thedollsofhorror.com for more information.
Now there's about 20 of them out there.
What will we do?
Don't worry, we're safe in here. They'll never get in.
Why is it that in every zombie story, people always think that their safe haven is invulnerable?
I know. It's like, hello, the walkers are totally going to get in. You better get ready for it.
Diane, get behind me. No, it's not stopping.
Do something, Jack!
And another thing, how come nobody in a zombie story has ever seen a zombie story?
Do you know how much time in human life would be saved if just one person in the group was up on the genre?
What do we do?
Aim for the head.
What?
Aim for the head.
You heard them. Aim for the head!
Quick, Diane, I think we should try and fix the barricades.
I think we should listen to them.
Now, that's the first good idea they've had all episode.
I still don't think they're gonna make it.
Aim for the Head, a weekly podcast covering the hit AMC programs The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Join hosts Diana and Steve as they recap and discuss the latest episodes. Aim for the Head, available on iTunes. You can also follow them on Facebook.
Hey there, this is Greg Nicotero, and you're listening to Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And don't forget to always aim for the head, because body shots, they really just don't work.
Hey everybody, we are back, and as always, a big thank you to our director for this episode, Mr. Greg Nicotero, for recording that spot. Not long after he recorded that spot, he did tell Steve and I to fuck off.
He did, but he meant it sincerely.
He did, in a I love you kind of way. It was an I love you fuck off.
It was.
That's how I'd like to put it. Anyway, we're going to jump right into our feedback that we received. Man, did we get some feedback this episode.
Oh, my God.
Thanks, everybody.
Not only did we get a lot, but it's like detailed, like long. Yeah, it was great. It's so
I
amazing.
think everybody was really like, this is it. This is my last chance to send in like feedback about The Walking Dead. So they really took advantage of that. So let's jump right in. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, we'll start off with the international desk, and we got some feedback, and this came from our pal Andy in Germany. Hello, Andy. And this is about episode 23.
Oh, so we're going to jump back a little.
Yeah, so we're at, because again, he's the way they're released, he's a little bit behind from America. So he's this is for episode 23, and he says, "Hello, Diana and Steve. I didn't enjoy this episode as much as the last one, mainly because of 2 story arcs. Lydia has grown up with walkers and moves among them like a fish in water. Of course, she would be able to lead a herd Of course, she would be able to leave a herd whenever she wants. If someone is bitten, it's surely not her. Okay.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then there was the most pathetic attempted coup I've ever seen. Holy shirt, Mercer. I thought after he saved Eugene, he would gather his men to give them a speech. Pamela is a traitor. She wants me to become our dictator. I will arrest her to save the Commonwealth. Are you with me? And that's all in caps.
Yeah.
After all, he is popular while Pamela is not. He could even arm the civilians who are eager to overthrow Pamela. Instead, he walks up to Pamela and tells her, I have no idea how Eugene escaped. Does he believe she is mentally challenged?
It's a good point.
It is. Yeah, it is. And then he goes, about the intelligent walkers. Since normal walkers attack everyone who shows intelligent behavior like Lydia, they would also attack walkers who do so. That's an interesting point. That would the walker, if a non-variant saw a variant, open a door or something, that's a human thing. Even though they smell like a walker, because they are one, would they still attack them? That's a really interesting idea. I never considered that before, man. I'm gonna have to think about that one.
Pants.
I know. Well, Andy, he knows his stuff, man.
He does.
And he finishes up by going, I'm not worried about Judith since it is her voice that comments on the events of the past. I doubt it's her ghost talking from the afterlife. He goes, they killed one child, though. That was a fan favorite. Carl. Technically, he was around Judith's age when he was bitten. I also think they won't kill anyone in the finale, though Lydia would be a logical choice since with Henry and Alpha dead, her story is told. And he goes, so this was my penultimate feedback. Yeah. Nice. I like it.
Well done.
He goes, I'm looking forward to the ultimate episode and podcast, Andy from Germany. And Andy, even though we're going to be taking a little break here, please send in your feedback for the final episode because we will definitely read it when we next record and we would love to hear it. So thank you so much, man, for sticking through all this and sending your feedback over this show. It's been amazing.
Yeah. Everything that Steve said. All right, so next up, we're going to jump into our feedback, our crazy amounts of feedback we got for the finale for episode 24. Right. First up, we've got an email from our favorite emailer, Amelia from the Pitney and Amelia podcast. Hey, Amelia. So she writes in and says, this is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I feel like I need more time to process it, but I know I have to write this like now. Did I cry? Dog damn right I did. That was for Diana. I think by the end of the episode, I was up to 7 Kleenexes. Tears followed by snot numerous times, but I'm shocked there weren't more deaths. Right there with you. For real. Although my husband and I talked for a while during Talking Dead commercial breaks about how maybe there wasn't much point in killing people off now because it's over. Killing Rosita a few episodes back would mean that storyline would have been wrapped up and we could have moved someone else's story up the food chain a bit, given us more time to see Gabriel and Eugene live without her, make the cast smaller so we don't have so many people to keep track of in a 90-minute episode maybe. That was all in caps. But it's Walker guts under the bridge now.
Is that a blown up bridge?
Yeah, it could be. But if it's a blown up bridge, you're never going to find the body. That's
true. It's just be gone. But the gun, you'll find the gun.
Always. She goes on to say, Eugene, my sweet Eugene, him and Rosita saying I love you to each other when she first let him know. During that scene, I had this flash of a memory of when he watched her and Abraham going at it in the bookstore like a perv. And I thought, only in the apocalypse do these two become best friends.
That's amazing. That's the same point that you had. It is. Yeah, I thought of it too. I'm like, this is the guy that was like watching her,
Let's get it on, man.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Thanks for being on the same, 10-year-old teenager playing in your head the same as I am, Amelia. I appreciate it. The Negan apology. She goes on to say, that scene was great, and Maggie not forgiving him was exactly right, because she said out loud what a lot of people have to work through. Not forgiving, but finding a way to not be so damn angry all the time. Finding a way to look at Negan and see something other than that bat coming down on Glenn's head, because she needs to not have that be the way she remembers Glenn. Anyone who has had to find a way to coexist with someone who did them harm understands what she said. And Negan understood it too. He knew he had to apologize, even though he knew she didn't need to accept it. That tells us a lot about him. Is it bad that I cried more at Luke's death than at Rosita's? No. She says, I think that scene was excruciating. Watching that group of friends saying goodbye to him, knowing they had just sawed his leg off trying to save him, which was so traumatic already, all of them covered in his blood, and I'm literally tearing up typing this because it was so painful. On the one hand, why'd you bring Luke back just to kill him? But on the other hand, so he could give us that. Those people in that moment killing the one we cared the least about. Sorry, Luke, but you've been a red shirt for a long time, dude. Damn, she swung left and right there pretty easily. It's a really terrible scene, but you know, he's been on death's door. So she continues and says, and then having Carol and Daryl off to the side, giving them space, but also, we have a crisis over here. Oh, wait, let me back up for a sec. To Judith being only semi-conscious and getting up off the gurney to lock the doors at baby girl is a Grimes. and
a Shane.
Yeah. Shh, hush now. She's a Grimes. And OMG, Daryl and Carol said they loved each other, and I swooned, y'all. Carol forever. And she did it like the Carol, Caryl, their ship name.
Shipper name,
Carol.
sure.
Yeah, Carol forever. Although screw Daryl for walking away from Judith and RJ without anything being said about who their guardians are now. No, Judith, that's cute and everything, but you don't really get to look after RJ. We're trying to be civilized here. I guess we're going to assume that Jerry and Nabila are like everybody's parents in this post-apocalyptic hippie commune. I'm still mad about the France thing. Nothing about it makes sense. I don't care what the explanation is going to be. The answer is no. Am I going to watch it? Well, yeah. But I might stop if I really, really hate it, because they aren't the boss of me. I wanted Carol and Daryl in New Mexico wearing matching bracelets. I'm so afraid this is going to be like 1,000 words if I don't calm down. Princess jumping into Mercer's arms. Walker Hornsby. Cult of personality. I was air guitaring like a mofo. And one final thing that must be said. Dog lives. Love you guys. See ya on the flip side. Oh, man. Amelia, thank you so much.
That's amazing.
That was an amazing email. Thank you so much for sending that. We love it.
So great. So great. All right. Moving along, we received another piece of email, and this is from our listener, Julie Nolan.
Hey, Julie.
Hello, Julie, how are you? Thank you so much for writing into us. She says, looking forward to hearing you guys cast the series finale. Diana and Steve, you are my fave of all the Walking Dead pods, and there are many. You always are such fun to listen to. That's so sweet. Always fresh, and we always stay on the topics, except when we go on tangents. But that's just like every other episode, or every episode, whatever.
Hardly ever happens.
It happens so often you don't even notice it. Yeah. She goes, I am sad my favorite series has ended, but even sadder to not hear your podcast. I hope you will think about doing a rewatch series. Interesting. That's true. You and I, we didn't actually cover together the early episodes. So
I've thought about that as a possibility to go back and revisit, spend some time looking at some of the first couple of seasons. We'll talk about that.
Julie goes on to say, what will I do without my zombies and both of you? And then she goes, my little brown Shih Tzu, Madison, Penelope, and I wish you happy Thanksgiving and many thanks for keeping us company. You rock. Hope to hear you again and chat about everything. LOL. Woof, yeah, Julie and Maddie P from Jersey.
That's adorable. We got a hello from a dog.
We did. Happy Thanksgiving and have a great one as well yourself, Julie. That's so cool. Thank you for writing in. It does mean a lot to us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julie. Next up, we've got our pal from across the pond, Bev.
Hello, Bev.
Bev wrote in via the Facebook as usual, and she wrote, it didn't give me everything I wanted, but we don't always get what we want. I've heard a song about that. But maybe we got what we needed.
That sounds like a song too.
Look what you did there. Just threw us right in there with the death of Jules and Luke. The acting from Luke's ladies as they struggled to keep him alive was phenomenal. Their sobbing brought me to tears, and it had only been on for a few minutes. The whole hospital scene took us back to episode 1 with Rick. Finding the babies left behind was a giant nod to so many real conflicts that have taken place over the years. The fall into the zombies had me holding my breath in shock and then shouting in joy. I knew Judith would make it through. The scenes between Rosita and Eugene were the best in the entire season and completely broke both when she told him what had happened and then her happiness he was there for her final breath. Both scenes between Maggie and Negan were emotional. I was so glad he actually got to apologize, but completely understood her not being able to forgive him. The scene at the gates wasn't bad, but Daryl's speech felt a bit thrown away. Little Rosie warmed my heart, and I was happy to see so many beloved characters getting their happy ending. My heart hopes that looking after Judith and RJ brings the King and Carol back together. It's a shame that Daryl has to ride into the sunset on his own. As much as I'm excited about the Rick and Michonne show, I would have loved it if they could have reunited with the gang, or at least have sent something to Judith to tell her she was still alive. She meaning Michonne, probably. It was a fitting end to a great show. It just feels like an old friend has moved far away, and even though we'll see each other again, it won't ever be the same. I agree. That's a good way to put it. She finishes off by saying a line I totally have to agree with. Just one more thing. How the hell will Daryl end up in France?
Yeah, exactly. Right. How's he going to get his motorcycle over there?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm curious to. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. We've been podcasting for so long. I just my body was like, no, it's time to sleep, Diane. I'm like, no, we must soldier on.
Do you realize that we've been podcasting so long, the Rick and Michonne series has already aired?
Damn it.
I know.
We didn't even cover it yet.
I know, because we were busy covering this damn thing. It's crazy.
Damn it. All right. Great points, Bev. As always, thank you so much for writing in. I agree. Who the hell knows how Daryl's going to get to France? Damn it.
Yeah. And it's not just it's in addition to how, it's why.
Oh, that's it. Don't throw logic into this. Come
I know.
on, please.
I know.
Please.
It's crazy. I'm sorry. All right. So moving along, we got another piece of feedback, and this came via Facebook, and this is from our pal Barry Pettis.
Hey, Barry.
Barry, what's up, man? How you doing? And he was kind of short and sweet, but he said, very nice ending, good closure. Sad that Rosita had to die. Seems as if they left it open for a possible Commonwealth series. Now, I have not heard anything about that. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't, but I was wondering, too, about some of the spots where they sort of left things a little open-ended and didn't tell all of the story. I'm wondering if they're also keeping some ideas on ice for if the anthology series is renewed.
Okay.
In any way. I thought that'd be interesting. You know, like here's what happened at Oceanside, or, you know, something along those lines.
Here's what happened to Virgil.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody
cares. He took some shrooms and is tripping balls.
But yeah, some you know, a deep dive on some kind of Commonwealth something, you know, what's the backstory of Mercer and Max, you know, how did they make it to the Commonwealth? You know, something like that. I think that's a possibility.
Sure.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about it though. Not at all.
Okay.
No. But you know, this show does love spinoffs, so
it does. It's quite a few of them are in the works, I understand.
Yeah. They should do a spinoff about people who podcast about the show.
Ooh.
And see what I did there.
I like what you did there.
Yeah.
It'd be called Mostly Dead.
Mostly. You're only mostly dead. Thanks again for writing in, Barry. We really appreciate it.
We do, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Next up, we had some feedback via the Facebook from our pal Karen, not related to Lauren Cohen. She writes in and says, oh man, I feel like I have so much to say, so I'll just leave my top impressions. It's pretty rare this show makes me cry, but I definitely did. Rosita is such a badass. If I find myself in the zombie apocalypse, I would like to be like her or Maggie. I didn't want Rosita to die, but I guess someone has to, and she got the screen time she deserves. Our heroes did what they do best, go into a new community, cause a fucking mess, then take it over. I like that they use the F word more, because realistically, if I were in these situations, I would probably be saying fuck like every other word. Right? Same. A toast to Luke. Jules who?
Exactly.
I thought that was apropos. Again, Daryl is leaving and doesn't even say bye to RJ. He actually said 2 words this episode. RJ, she means. I can't believe it took that commander chick so long to switch sides, and that there are zombies everywhere and they had time to basically read Pam her rights and cuff her. You made that point. I'm going to list all the things that she did wrong. No, like there's literally monsters at the gate.
That's right, yeah.
She continues to say, pretty bummed Daryl didn't kiss Connie. I like that Negan actually said sorry and actually seemed like he meant it. Anyway, I'm sad the show is over, but take comfort in the fact that there are spin-offs that you'll podcast about. Thanks. And that's true. We will be covering those.
It is. That's true. And that's very, 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 it makes me feel good.
Yeah. All 15 of the spin-offs, we will be covering them all.
That's right. That's right.
Why cover one when you can cover them all?
Starting with Walk with Dog.
Walk with Dog. I love it.
All right.
Excellent. Thanks again for writing in, Karen. We love hearing from you.
Thank you so much. That's really amazeballs cool. All right, moving along, we got another piece of feedback. This came via the Facebook, and this is from Teresa Harper. Hello, Teresa. How are you doing?
Hey,
and she said, I loved it. I ugly cried so much I scared my fur babies. LOL. It's always tough when the animals are like, who is that?
What's happening right now?
Then she goes, bravo and chef's kiss to the finale. Well done. Well done. So I'm glad you liked it. That's great.
Yeah, there's a happy person. Thanks for writing in, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we got some more feedback from the Facebooks. We got some feedback from Alma Contreras. Alma wrote in and says, I was fortunate to have watched the finale in San Francisco with the Podcastica Zedheads. It's Jason's podcast. They did a whole watch party and everything. It looked like a lot of fun. And she put, I thought the finale was very well done. I loved all the walkers they showed. They seemed way more animated, and I loved that. And how about that bomb-ass explosion scene? I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I was crying almost the entire time. Oh, and I totally was shocked by Rosita's death. I look forward to tuning in to hear y'all's thoughts. Thank you, Alma. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for writing in.
I think we said we appreciated the effects of the bombast explosion scene.
Yeah.
We just kind of thought that, there were probably some less like destructive ways to get rid of the ghouls than that. But it looked cool.
What do you mean? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Thank you so much, Elma. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, and our final piece of feedback also came via the Facebook, and that's from do you know how to pronounce his last name?
I'm gonna say Levine.
Okay, so we'll go with that. Joe Levine. And Joe, if we're butchering it, I sincerely apologize. But he said, I loved it. They did a great job of bringing us back to the beginning with Judith in the hospital. Rosita protecting her child was a little over the top, but probably the way she deserved to go out. Not sure why everyone decided they had to go their own way at the end. You just won the war. Enjoy the peace.
Isn't that true?
It is. Well, it's like all these athletes who retire because they want to spend more time with the family, and then like 2 months later they're like, yeah, I'm going to go play sports again.
Yeah, I don't know anybody like that.
It happens more than you think.
I know.
But Joe, that's I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, you're right. There were a lot of great callbacks in there throughout the whole episode, but especially at the beginning. Yeah. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And thanks for writing in.
Yeah, thanks for writing in, Joe. We appreciate it.
Thanks to everybody for writing in, not just now, but just over the last couple of years. The feedback has been amazing, and it's just, we're so excited when we get it, and we're grateful that you guys, that whatever we say, whatever dumb things come out of my mouth or smart things that come out of Diana's mouth, it moves you guys enough that you send us your thoughts. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's incredible. So thank you so much.
And it's amazing that you got the setup appropriately, that it is dumb things from your mouth and smart things from mine. I'm just making sure that that's clear.
Well, that's what it says on the card you gave me to say.
Yeah, and don't forget that $5 is on its way. Yes, everything that Steve said. Thanks everyone for all of the feedback we got for all of this season and all of the Walking Dead that we've covered. The feedback has only grown from week to week to week, so that means our listeners are growing, and we love that we've got regulars that write in, and we love getting little pieces here and there from new people. It's lovely. It gives us a lot of I guess mojo to enjoy. I would do this anyway, but it gives it that little extra special sauce to know that there's people that are listening and that are engaged enough to actually write in and let us know their thoughts. I think that's amazing.
It is. I totally agree.
Okay. All right. So coming up next on the podcast, all I wrote down was, dude, who knows?
Who knows?
We got some thoughts on some things we want to cover. I got to say that's the one surprising thing that I think that came out of all of this Walking Dead coverage. They did the red carpet, and then the show was 90 minutes, and then they had the 90-minute Talking Dead after. There was so much coverage, but there was no. And let me tell you, if you watched it on regular TV, every time they went to a commercial, it was like, coming soon, the Daryl Dixon Show and the Dead City and the da-da-da-da and whatever. It felt like once every 20 minutes there was episode promos for all of the spinoffs and the stuff coming up. But what I'm surprised by is that there was no definitive date for anything. So we can't tell you what we're going to cover next because we don't know what's going to premiere next. I would assume it's probably going to be Fear. I think that's probably what's going to happen, because I don't think anything else is finished. I don't think anything else is finished. Yeah. They haven't even really started the Rick and Michonne. They wrapped Dead City, so I mean that's a possibility. It's only 6 episodes,
but they're probably still in post and doing the digital effects and doing all the mixes and the picture lock and all that stuff, the technical stuff you got to do. I think you're right. I think it's either going to be Fear. The only other, I think, wild card, it could be season 2 of the anthology, if that is going to be a thing. But Fear seems to make the most sense because we know they were filming it. So but we'll have to see what they say.
Yeah. So until we have a clear premiere date for the next Walking Dead universe selection, we've got some ideas and some thoughts and some things to chat about during the off season. We're clearly going to be taking some time for the holidays here. We've got American Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of days, and just in a few short weeks we'll also have Christmas and the New Year's. It's possible we may cover something in the meantime. We will of course let you know if we're planning on covering something so that we can get your thoughts on it, whether it's something that's been out for a while or if there's something new we want to cover. I know there's a lot of new horror movies out there and plenty of content to cover.
Again, if you guys if there's some series or some movie or something that you think we would like to see and cover, let us know. Say, hey man, check out this show, or check out we'll see, because there's so much television now. It's really, unless you are being paid to watch and review TV, you can't watch it all. You can't. Yeah. It's too hard. So there's clearly going to be stuff that you might have seen out there that we had never even heard of that we'll be like, yeah, that sounds cool. So by all means, if there's something out there, let us know, and we'll find something to talk about here in the meantime.
I know coming up in January, HBO is doing the series The Last of Us, which is based off of the video game, and it has a zombie storyline in there. So
they're mushroom zombies.
Yeah. So we will we'll take a look at that. We'll see, maybe that's a possibility. Maybe not the series. Maybe we just give like a feeling on the whole series itself, like in one episode. But that's a possibility. But again, until we get like a firm idea of when stuff is going to premiere, we've just got some some thoughts and some ideas, and once we solidify them, we'll let you guys know. Steve did attend this past weekend the most recent Chicago Days of the Dead convention, but clearly we are going to talk about that at a different time, because I want to make sure that you've got plenty of time to talk about your experience there, and today's not that day.
No, time prevents us.
Yes.
I just will say it was a Friday the 13th, 2009, which was the reboot that they did about 13 years ago. It was a big cast reunion of that film. So, and it was really fun. It was amazing. So I had a really good time. I got to meet some delightful people, and we did a little shopping. We got to go out to dinner. So all the good stuff happened. But we'll go into a little more detail a little bit on another episode here.
We'll do it at a time where we can give it the time it deserves. That's for sure.
Oh, well, thank you.
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about it, actually. So again, folks, like we said, once we know, we'll let you know what we're covering next. But until then, we're going to go ahead and enjoy a little time off. We hope you guys do too, with the holidays coming up upon us. Have happy and safe holiday season as it's coming all around you. Once again, thanks for following along during this final season. We're so happy to talk about this every week, no matter how short or long the episode is. We're always happy to bring it to you no matter what. So we're going to go ahead and sign off until next time. As always, I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
Don't forget to always aim for the head.
Even though the show's over, body shots still don't work. To send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @AFTH Podcast. Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to just like our Facebook page to get all of our updates in your feed.
Oh, and I'll also state the obvious. There's no way I'm editing tonight.
No, that's fine.
I'm eating and sleeping. Those are my plans when we're finished.